can't get it to work. Liv, turn Fubo back on.
Okay.
Is it on right now? Can I access the account?
You know what? Let me find out. Yes, we still can.
Is it not on there?
Fubo.tv.
It's there. Turn it down, Liv.
Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends.
Liv, turn it on.
And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. But creativity and creed, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want. Damn sure
No, I don't think it's there.
I won't tell no lies. Back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's
Hi, Matthew. It's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you on the Don't Unfriend Me show at the Dumb Show. I was thinking about that whole thing the other day when I thought it was right after Donald Trump was elected that everybody on the left started unfriending anyone on the right. So I'm glad you're calling them out. You've got a great name for the show. And I hope that you're true to the values, conservative values, Republican values, and that you call those people out. I think it's great. And I know you've got 135,000 followers. I hope you get a lot more. And just keep the faith. Keep fighting. I think we may get America back. But in the meantime, we've got a steep hill to climb. And you're one of the fighters, one of the patriots. So thank you for what you're doing.
Hey, gang, I'm going to need everyone to hang tight. We are having some technical difficulties right here, and we may not be able to stream the show. It looks like Sling and Fubo are both blocking it. We're looking at Rumble, but I don't know where you're at.
I couldn't. It said 410 error.
At Rumble?
Yeah. I tried getting into CNN News.
No, Rumble. Rumble. The site that we go to,
Yeah.
Rumble, RUMBLE.
Yes.
And do a search for Trump.
Okay.
Town Hall. I think I found it. Hold on.
Badlands Media special coverage.
I got it. Here we go. We're in. I want to thank the Badlands Media Town Hall for covering this. Unfortunately, I'm unable to get it. We're going to roll it back and we're going to get it playing right now for everybody. There we are. I'm getting sound for you right now. Hang tight.
Voters the answers that they deserve.
There it is.
Our audience is made up of Republicans
It's
and
breaking up.
undeclared
Hold on.
voters who plan to take part in New Hampshire's Republican
People
primary.
are screwing
They'll
with
get
this
the chance-
feed, man. This is bad. They do not want this thing rebroadcast. This is what they did to some of his rallies. But we're going to get this. Don't worry. Once again, thank you for Town Hall for letting us restream this. We'll go ahead and give them some big props and get you guys linked out to them. Here we are. Everyone give me a 5x5 that you can hear this, please.
Yep, I got it.
All right, great. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We rolled it back. We're fine. Thank you, Liv. All right, we're trying to get the
President
sound
Trump,
cleared up.
thank you for your time here tonight. We got a great crowd here in New Hampshire, a lot of voters with a lot of questions about what your 2024 term.
Now, I just want to be clear. We're going to be so somebody named Al in the middle of this, like I'm fucking scrambling. And of course, this is like a Bill O'Reilly segment where I'm just like, come on, get it in post, and this is the way it is before the show. I mean, I'm yelling at Olivia. She's screaming at me. Leroy's going, all right, damn, dude, I'm shutting up. I'm sorry. And this guy, Al, goes, you guys going to be on 8 o'clock. You'll be on 8:30. And I'm just like, dude, not right now. Anyway, Sling did not have this.
He's one of your subscribers, and he was messaging the
Big gay Al?
Yeah.
Big gay Al on the boat,
he
right?
was messaging. He wanted to know
you know
if
what?
everyone on
Hold
the-
on one second. Okay. So anyway, Big Gay Al comes in. He's like, hey, when are you going to be on? I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Just give us a minute. We're trying to get this all situated. So here's the deal. We didn't get to preface any of this and do the intro. We have to interrupt this every 5 or 10 minutes because if we don't, we will get blacklisted. They are hitting this heavily. Sling won't allow this to be rebroadcast. 3 other software stations won't allow it to be broadcast. And here we are. So do me a favor. Hang tight with us. We're going to get to all of this. And then, of course, we're going to have some comments. Here we go.
Would look
Right.
like,
I was just going to say we're going to
to
break in with some comments every now and then.
Of course. Absolutely. We'll try not to talk over
the
Trump.
voters shortly, but your polls show that you are dominating the Republican race right now, but you are also under active federal investigation for trying to overturn the 2020 election results. Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results. Why should Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I actually say we did far better in that election. Got the most that anybody's ever gotten as a sitting president of the United States. I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people, in this audience, and maybe a couple that don't, but most people understand what happened.
This does fall under fair use, but they can distribute it any way they want. See, quickly, there was a thing called HDCP. And when you would run HDMI digitally, the companies would put a scramble in there so you couldn't redistribute to a secondary TV or a recording device because they didn't want you copying Blu-rays. Well, the same type of technology is here, is they can send out a digital signal that when you open a secondary software program that can record, it'll interrupt the audio and sporadically destroy the audio wave so you can't hear it. It's a minor thing, but it makes it impossible. That's what you heard through Safari. So Macs aren't able to do this. I'm using Chrome, which doesn't allow that type of thing. And we're able to get it unbroken. Here we go.
It was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country. All over the world, they looked at it, and they saw exactly what everyone else saw. You look, even if you just look recently with the 51 intelligence agents, that made a 16-point difference. If you look at the FBI, and Twitter, they call it Twitter files, made a big difference. If you look at
Mr. President, back to what you just said there, though, it was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election. You and your supporters lost more than 60 court cases on the election. It's been nearly 2.5 years. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government cameras, where they were stuffing ballot boxes.
Yeah.
So with all of that, I think it's a shame that what happened. I think it's a very sad thing for our country. I think it's a very sad thing, frankly, for the world, because if you look at what's gone to our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad. You look at the taxes, you look at inflation, what's happened to inflation. It's just destroying our country. We've really become, in many ways, a third world country.
The election. That's what you got to do, man.
It's very sad what's happened in this administration.
They shouldn't have said anything about it first.
Something that will turn around on day one. We were energy independent. Now energy is at a level that we've never had to pay before. Nobody can afford to continue to pay what's happening with energy. But we were energy independent. We were getting out of Afghanistan with strength and with dignity. And instead we got out, we looked like fools, probably the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
We have a lot of questions about the economy and foreign policy tonight, but what you just said there, Republican officials debunked those claims about fraudulent ballots. We want to give you a chance tonight. Republican officials in Georgia and every single state. There is no, your own election officials, Mr. President. So we wanted to give you a chance.
People were afraid to take on the issue. But we have a big problem in this country. We have
We wanted to give you a chance to
we have
acknowledge the
elections
results.
that were horrible. If you look at what happened in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, if you look at what happened in Detroit, Michigan, if you look at what happened in Atlanta.
I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say it as honest as I can, because like I said, we will interrupt this from occasion. The best thing that could possibly happen right now is she should embarrass him as hard as she possibly can. She should be a dog with a bone and beat this out of him now so he stops talking about this and focuses on 2024. This is the same thing we've heard for the last 2.5 years. I don't care about 2020. I only care about 2024. Deal with 2024 when you win and you get in office, and you can go and do whatever the fuck you want. But right now, you should shut up and talk about policy, talk about America, talk about Biden, talk about inflation, talk about the Biden 9, talk about the criminality, talk about the Chinese money, talk about the money from Armenia. Shut the fuck up about the election. And I just hope she does, because if she lays off of him, he's going to do it in the next interview and the next one and the next one. She just embarrass him, just crush him so he shuts up about this. That's the only thing that I can figure would work. Leroy, Olivia, anything?
No, I would agree with that. I think. Go ahead, Olivia. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say he needs to stop talking about it. It's over. And if he continues to talk about an election that was 2.5 years ago, he's focused on the past and not the future, and he's going to lose the vote.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because if you don't have any credibility when it comes to that, how are you going to have credibility when they talk about the rape case? Because you can't be doing this. You can't keep projecting that you're too stubborn to admit the truth. So you know what you should have said? Yeah, I lost. Whether it's fair and square or not, that's a whole nother conversation, but everyone knows where I stand on that. But you know what? We're not going to do this in 2024 because nobody's going to lock down the country like they did in 2020. Let's move on. Let's talk about important things, because right now, this is not important. Boom. End the conversation. And people are like, holy shit, he pivoted. Donald Trump pivoted fantastically. Let's get everybody to move on. But he will not take the power away from the media. All right. Leroy, did you have a quick one?
Well, I was just going to say, just in the first, 1 minute of that interview, he went through a stolen election. He evaded a question. He called people stupid, and then he pivoted towards the economy and inflation without answering the lady's question. So he's got to stay on point.
Right. It would be nice. All right, let's get to this. We'll cut 5 minutes into it. People who are complaining, I'm not your cable provider. This is a talk show. We're going to do the best we can to give you the coverage that you're looking for, but we're going to comment because we are just as much of fans as you are. Whether you like that or not, there's plenty of places doing this feed, or pony up and go get yourself a Sling subscription.
Millions of votes, and all you have to do is take a look at government cameras. You'll see them. People going to 28 different voting booths to vote, to put in 7 ballots.
Danny Meyer, will you?
But Mr. President, I have to stop you there because there is no evidence of that. Your own election officials testified to that, and they've said that Republicans in these states did this. In Georgia, there were multiple recounts, including a hand recount. We have questions about the claims that you're making tonight.
Amy, ban Cheryl Mead, Bomish Radishwamy, whatever the fuck their name is. Anybody that's going to go ahead and tell me, just ban them. Just cut them loose.
From voters on this topic, I want to bring in Scott Dustin from Concord. He works in insurance litigation. He's an undeclared voter. That's what they call independents here in New Hampshire, as you know. He did vote for you in 2020. Scott, what's your question for the president?
Hi, President Trump. Welcome back to New Hampshire.
Thank you.
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud during your run for president?
Will I suspend? Excuse me, what?
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud during your run for president?
Yeah, unless I see election fraud. If I see election fraud, I think I have an obligation to say it. And you know what we went through a short while ago has really put our country in a big problem. I hope to do that. I hope we're going to have very honest elections. We should have voter ID. We should have one-day elections. We should have paper ballots instead of these mail-in votes. But the answer is yes, and I hope that it's going to be very straight up, because if it's going to be straight up, we're going to win the election.
So you will suspend talk, to his question about the 2020 election on the campaign trail?
I guess we're going to just win. We're at a point now. We're getting so close. Let's just win it again and straighten out our country.
One other question on this.
There you go. That's a good answer. Maybe should have started with that. Good job. Amy, you're good. I got everybody.
When you've talked about the 2020 election results in the past, you once suggested terminating the Constitution. Do you stand by those comments?
That's not what he said.
No.
Somebody said
able to do certain things. I'm not talking about terminating the Constitution. I'm talking about cherishing the Constitution. The Constitution says that we're supposed to have legal and well maintained and well looked at elections. And we didn't have that. I cherish our Constitution, but we have to live up to the Constitution. We weren't living up to the Constitution.
I was just saying there's no evidence of that election fraud. You did once
You're
tweet.
supposed to say that, but I'm glad you say that. But look,
That's
that
the
was
truth,
a
Mr.
horrible
President.
election. That was a horrible election. And unless somebody's very stupid, and I know you very well, you're not stupid at all, but you perhaps are given an agenda or you have an agenda. Look, we have to have honest elections in our country. We have open borders. We have.
This is
Look at
not
what's
going as well as.
happening. I mean, we have elections, we have open borders. Look at what's happening on our southern border. Millions and millions of people are coming here. They're being released from prisons. They're being released from mental institutions. And we have millions of people pouring into our country. And now.
We're just going to fact check this right now. So that is not what he said about the Constitution. I've done a show on this. Quote, do you know the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner? Or do you have a new election? Is what he said. A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulation, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. So what he's saying is that the things that were perpetrated and the things that were done, whether those are accurate or not, he is saying is an abortion of the Constitution. It is a complete it's a misnomer. It's not true. It's not accurate. That's not what he said. And once again, taking things out of context that he said, I'll hit him when he's wrong. I'll defend him when he's right. In this case, he is, and she's full of shit as a Christmas goose.
Now they're getting rid of Title 42, which I put on, which kept people out that were sick. And
Mr. President, we have a lot of questions about immigration to get to tonight. Obviously, that's a big topic, especially given what's expected to happen tomorrow. But I want to talk about the influence you have over your voters. It's very clear that you are very influential over them. You have a lot of impact. I've been to many of your rallies and seen it up close, which raised a lot of questions about the influence that we saw that you had on them on January 6th and your supporters when they attacked the Capitol. Do you have any regrets about your actions on January 6th?
Well, January 6th was, again, we go back to it, but January 6th had to do with the fact that hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't see the pictures very often. A lot of the people here probably were there. January 6th, it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. That was prior to the walk down to the Capitol building. I don't think, and I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. I've never spoken to a crowd as large as this. And that was because they thought the election was rigged. And they were there proud. They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day. And what I was asked to do, I wasn't involved in it very much. I was asked to come in. Would I make a speech? I made a speech. I said, walk peacefully and patriotically, many different things. In fact, I brought a list of things. I don't want to bore the audience, but we can go sentence after sentence after sentence of things I said and things I put out. One of the big problems was that Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy as I affectionately call her, Crazy Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington were in charge, as you know, of security. And they
They're
did not do
in charge
their
of the
job.
National Guard.
They're
You're
not
in charge of the
They
National
are
Guard.
well, I offered them National Guard. I said, we'll give you soldiers, we'll give you National Guard, we'll give you whatever you want. And they turned me down.
You're
And in
acting
fact,
defense
she turned me down.
secretary.
She turned me down in writing. They turned me down.
But your acting defense secretary, Chris Miller, at the time, he says you never gave a formal order to deploy the National Guard. But when it came to that day,
just the opposite.
he
Chris
tested.
Miller wrote a book, and he's a fantastic guy, and he was ready to go. They turned him down. If you look, the mayor of Washington, D.C., lovely lady, she said, we don't want it. We don't like the look. Nancy Pelosi said, oh, we don't like the look. If they would have had I offered them 10,000 soldiers. I said,
Nobody's being removed. You have people who are interrupting because they're being babies because they want the CNN show to play through and have me host it for them and pay it for them. That's not the way this works, Susie. So thanks for coming in once a month and having an opinion.
it could be 10, it could be more, but I offered them specifically 10,000 soldiers. If they would have taken 500 soldiers, you wouldn't have had the problem. They turned it down. And if you look at the Inspector General report, he says they turned it down. They made a terrible mistake.
Well, Chris Miller was your acting defense secretary. He says you never gave that order. But back to what happened on that day.
He did not say that.
He has testified that, Mr.
He did
President.
not say that.
But you said you weren't very involved that day. You did tell your supporters to come to Washington. You tweeted about it, about
Sure,
that
of
speech
course.
that happened on the rally.
Am I
So
allowed
when
to say that?
When they went to the Capitol and they were breaking into the Capitol, smashing windows, injuring police officers, why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out.
Watch this.
So if you look at on January 5th, the day before, I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay
So you
peaceful.
did
This was the day before.
301.
And this was in the form of Twitter. Now I use Truth Social. I think it's far superior. Okay. I hope everybody's on Truth. If you look January 6th, this is before 2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on Truth and I'm staying on Truth.
All right. So two things, just copyright, so we don't get nailed on this. We've got to interrupt it once in a while.
Right.
There's two things. One is Trump did tweet, and I want to say 301 and 303 objectively. The riot and a lot of the pushback that was happening during his rally, when he was giving his speech, almost 2 hours into this. There was already the beginnings of this. It wasn't like one segment of the Capitol building was overwhelmed. It was all over the Capitol. So that is number one. And number two, he did. So even if you go ahead and say it was 2 hours into this supposed riot, insurrection, whatever bullshit you want to call it, the fact that he did tweet in a platform that most of his followers, millions, of people follow him, he did convey that. And so I absolutely, those were his last two tweets before his account was suspended. So if you're going to sit here and say that if anyone tried to stop the word from getting out, you got to go ahead and blame Twitter, which isn't the first time we'll be saying that. Now, second, his testimony where he just said here that his defense secretary, Chris Miller, did not testify. Well, actually, Chris Miller did. The latest move suggests DOU investigation of 2020 election, Trump and his close allies. Quote, I was never getting any direction or order of any plans of that nature, Miller said. Miller later said in the video deposition, there was no order from the president. And it continues to go on that these were contingency plans. There was no message traffic. There was no formal request for National Guard, which has to go through the mayor of D.C.
Quick question.
Go.
So we know that Twitter deleted one of his tweets, right? I forget which one it was. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it the one where he actually said, hey, folks, time to go home?
Well, both of those, those were his two last tweets. Remember I did a show on that where he came back and then you saw his Twitter account open again and the unarchive, and you see the last two tweets were about January 6th. But supposedly there was a third tweet that got banned and was held up for content that was against community standards or some shit. It was my understanding that all of those were direct of the police are our friends. We care about, we follow the law and order, et cetera, and more of a stand down message to everybody. But once again, that message was put out there, and it's not like plenty of other people weren't trying to stop things that were happening on J6, but for them to sit there and say, and then also that he was in the limo and he choked out like Steven Seagal, one of the Secret Service agents who was driving the limo. Remember that bullshit? So here's the narrative. Now, the reason we're fact checking this is because it's important. I mean, the CNN is going to lie their ass off. You know that. Here it is.
Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violation. We want no violation. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. Yeah. That was at 2:30. That was very early.
Mr. President, I looked at the same timeline that you did.
No, I know, but you didn't report that. You know why? Because it was
we did report
down.
it. I was reporting that
it was taken down and it wasn't.
But when it was clear to you that they were not being peaceful, you saw them rushing the Capitol, breaking windows. They were hitting officers with flagpoles, tasing them, beating them up. When it was clear they weren't being peaceful, why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol? They listened to you like no one else. You know that.
They
just told you why.
I agree with that. But
so why
Nancy
didn't you tell them to go home sooner?
Nancy Pelosi and the mayor are in charge. I assume they were able to do their job. They weren't.
But Pelosi's not in charge of Capitol
And if you remember,
security.
I made a video right outside the Oval Office in the Rose Garden.
That's not true.
And I'm very proud of that video. I didn't have a script. I don't need scripts like a certain person that's in there right now.
The video, it came out much later after they had already attacked the Capitol.
It was a great video. And it was a beautiful video. And it said, I mean, I don't want to read it all, but you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people of law and order. We love the people of law and order. We can't play into the hands of these other people. We have to have peace. Please go home. I've
Well,
said that.
referring
You know
to
what
the
they
law and
did?
order there,
They took
Mr.
that
President.
down, and to this day, it hasn't been put up. And the reason is it's so good and so conclusive that all of this nonsense and all of the tens of millions of dollars that have been spent are just wiped away with this one. And they've never put it back up. They had another one that they did the same
But that
thing.
video that you referenced there, it wasn't posted until 4:17 p.m.
No, I'll tell
They
you,
breached the Capitol at 2 p.m.
That video was
Mr. President.
posted,
4:17
yeah,
p.m.
before, actually a little bit before that.
Right. So that's my question.
excuse
Because
me.
in that 3 hours, over
Excuse me,
140
it was
officers
posted
were
after the
injured.
first one I just read, though, and that was at 2 o'clock.
But I think the reason the timeline is so critical.
It's hilarious. He sits there. He just told you that he posted one at 2 o'clock. And then she's like, well, at 2 o'clock is kind of when shit went down. It's like, well, you just said in your own words that it was like the eclipse of this was 2 and he posted it 2. What did you want him to do? Did you want him to write a dissertation? Did you want him to write an epitaph, maybe his memoirs? By the way, I want to fact check this because this is absolute bullshit. It's not fact check. It's just telling the truth. Okay. Cause this isn't about fact check or spin, because I can get this from any site. And this is the way that they spin this shit. Capitol security is actually the responsibility of the House Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader, which would be Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. And they control payroll, funding, etc., but also execution of orders. They can increase security, they can enhance security, and they put in formal requests with the Sergeant of Arms. To say that those two are not in charge of J6 security is completely a lie. It is 100% a misnomer, and they're not being honest. Period. Plain and simple.
Here because
It is CNN,
going
for
back
God's
to your
sake.
influence.
I know.
In
I
that
know.
3 hours, over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed. And that thug that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her. At blank range, cold blank range, they shot her. And she was a good person. She was a patriot.
One
There was
person
no
who
reason. There was no reason. And he went on television to brag about the fact that he killed her.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he
Oh,
killed
he
her.
was
But one
bragging.
person who was at the
He was
Capitol
bragging.
that day, as you know, was your vice president, Mike Pence, who says that you endangered his life on that day.
I don't
Do
think
you
he was in
feel,
any danger.
Mr. President, do you feel that you owe him an apology?
No, because he did something wrong. He should have put the votes back to the state legislatures, and I think we would have had a different outcome. I really do.
Yeah, we would have had a military overthrow us.
What?
The vice president does not have the authority to reject
Are you
those,
ready? Let's
those
have this
election
one out
results.
just now because it's interesting. Let's keep it interesting, right? I like Mike Pence very much. He's a very fine man. He's a very nice man. He made a mistake. His lawyer said, you cannot move. I called him the human conveyor belt. I said, even if the votes, I talked to his lawyer, even if the votes are absolutely fraudulent, he can't say, yes, sir, he can't send back. And the Democrats played it and the rhinos played it. And then the election was over. They told him he couldn't do it. And Mike said to me, I can't do it. The lawyers told me I can't do it. They can't do it. But the lawyers were wrong because right after the election, they all met, the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure that future vice presidents don't do what I said you could do.
That's not what happened. You're referring to the Electoral Count Act.
That's
I've read that. There is no authority.
No,
Legal
excuse
experts,
me.
including Republican legal experts, say that he does not have that authority, Mr. President.
Caitlin,
But I want
why
to move
did
on.
they change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about
Oh, they
presidents
strengthened it,
exploiting.
meaning you could do it.
That's,
you.
that's not what it means.
Thank you.
You know, I can defend this guy all day long, and then just one time I'm just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's just little things like that that just drive me crazy. And dude, if you can't shift this conversation, if you can't change her course and you set this up, you open, if you would have just walked in there and started talking policy and nailing him on the Biden 9, and then you have to, you put her in a position, you know, she's locked and loaded for this. You know that she's so predictable that they just knew exactly what he was going to talk about, because it's the same thing he's been talking about for 2.5 years.
Undoubtedly, before they ever even decided to air this, right? The moment they decided to air this, they were screening for someone who is an absolute bulldog in the pit. And when they found her and interviewed her, they probably gave her lessons, coaching, antagonistic type coaching lessons. Yeah.
It's just a matter. You know what? This is the best possible thing that can happen to Donald Trump. It really is, because he's right on some things, as he always is, and he is dead wrong on others. And that's just the way Trump is. And, I don't know what to tell you, man. They baited the trap and he walked right into it. And he's continuing to unspring the bear claws and just allow them to just snap back on him. Eventually, they're going to cut a leg in from underneath him.
Strengthen the law.
Mike had the right to do it. They convinced him he didn't, and it was a horrible thing for our country. If you would have sent those votes back to Georgia, Pennsylvania, and other states, Wisconsin, which if you look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted now that the election was rigged. If
They
you
have
would have
not
sent
admitted
those
that,
votes
Mr.
They have
back
not.
to many of
Nobody
those
said
states,
that.
they would not come back in the affirmative. And remember what I said, and you just said it pretty much. You admitted what I said was right. They said he didn't have the right to do it. And he did have the right to do it. And that's why they changed the law, taking that right away.
I should note that your campaign paid for a recount that happened in Wisconsin. It actually had more votes for President Biden by the end of it. But I want to move on to Wayne Byer. He's a retired attorney from
By the
North
way,
Conway.
so many illegal votes were cast in Wisconsin. And if you look in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they had so many illegal votes, they didn't even know what to do with them. You're absolutely wrong.
Mr. President,
about that.
there weren't any fraudulent votes in Wisconsin. I do want to get to the audience, though. We have questions for you
See,
from the
you
audience.
can't-
A retired
how do you
Wayne
say
Byer is
that?
a retired attorney.
How do you say that as a reporter? How do you
Right.
know? Just
It's already
just
been
like
proven
Trump
that
says
there
that,
were,
right?
just that there weren't enough to overturn the election. But
Right.
certainly there were. It's already been
There's
on the
a-
news. CNN
every
reported on
single election since the dawn of time, when we were doing it with sticks and straw, have had some sort of fraud with them. You can't say that. How can you be a serious reporter and say that? And yes, I understand what people are saying, but you have to understand there is a connection here with the mail-in ballots and COVID and emergency powers that we have talked about, especially in Wisconsin, especially in Michigan, and all the swing states, that he has a beef and he has a right to say it. But the problem here is that the reporter is saying things that are untrue. You can't sit here and say that there's absolutely no fraud in election, because every single election, and anybody who knows anything about elections will tell you that there's always some form of fraud. What their points of contention, like Leroy said, is that it's not enough to overturn an election. That is the bone of contention here. And for her to say that is ridiculous.
Attorney from North Conway. He has previously served in Republican administrations. He volunteered for the Republican Party in the 2022 midterms. He voted for you in 2020. What's your question for the president, Wayne?
Thank you for coming, Mr. President.
Thank you, Wayne.
My question to you is, will you pardon the January 6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one, because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis, and
God, these questions are so set up.
so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM. Many people were killed. These people, I'm not trying to justify anything, but you have two standards of justice in this country. And what they've done, and I love that question, because what they've done to so many people is nothing. And then what they've done to these people, they've persecuted these people. And yeah, my answer is, I am most likely, if I get in, I would say it will be a large portion of them. They did and it'll be very early on. And they're living in hell right now.
So when it comes
They're
to
living
pardons,
in hell. And they're policemen, and they're firemen, and they're soldiers, and they're carpenters and electricians, and they're great people. Many of them are just great people.
Mr. President, one of the people who was convicted was a former policeman, but he was convicted of attacking a police officer, I should note. But when you said you are considering pardoning a large portion of those charged with crimes on January 6th, does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial. You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial either.
Speaking of New York,
That
I wanna
wasn't
ask you
bad.
about a significant verdict that was
No,
released
but I
yesterday.
did
know
wanna
this
make
is
a
something
quick
you want
point.
to weigh in on as well.
Yeah.
Manhattan jury found that
Sure.
you
Go ahead. That's a good
As
stopping
much-
point. Go ahead.
As much as she was saying that, hey, you're basically saying that you'd be willing to pardon some people. He should have immediately pivoted to, well, I can recall the time where the current vice president and the current president were willing to pardon people out of certain protests all around the United States. I mean,
That's
Kamala
right.
had made that perfectly clear that she actually had tweeted that to basically say, "Hey, look, we will post some of your legal money if you get busted doing these things."
I just, the answer to the question is, this is an executive privilege, and all presidents have exercised it. Every president in the United States history has exercised pardons, and I will do the same thing if it is necessary once I review each case individually, but just like I would for anybody. So I've done some great work. We can talk about the work that I've done with Kim Kardashian, some of the pardons that I've had for, people who are essentially illicit drug use or dealing drugs, but without crime, without a firearm attached, have been released by me under my administration. Those weren't very popular at the time. However, I felt it was right. Those people had served the time, and that is my right and executive privilege as the president. Period. Full stop. End it. Move on. Get to the things that are killing Americans. Get to fentanyl. Get to the fucking border. Get to Title 42. Get to conflict. Get to Taiwanese Straits. Get to Ukraine. Get to the $150 billion we're giving away. Get to inflation. For God's sake, get off this line of conversation and move on.
Well, and that's the point, is that every time she's asking a question, I understand the need to answer the question, but he also has to kind of take control to an extent to kind of get out of what because they already have their line of questioning already carved out. And if he stays in that line, he will be defensive on his heels the entire time. He's got to get out of that in order to control the conversation.
Correct. Livia, do you got anything on this, or are you just processing?
I'm processing and going through comments.
Roger that. Keep going.
Sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this, but what do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't
It's
too
a
many
civil
of them
case.
because my poll numbers just came out. They went up. Okay. I think
That's the part about him I love.
Not bad.
I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man.
I don't remember her, but
She
you
called him
remember
an
him?
ape. Happens to be African
He's
American.
popular.
Called
She
him an ape.
wasn't.
The judge wouldn't allow us
How
to
many
put
times
that
have you
in.
met a freaking admiral and you remember his wife?
Never.
Never.
I've
I've
probably
met-
got interviewed by him at some point if he was a news anchor.
He's a
I don't
news
know.
guy. Of course he's going to know. He watches the morning news, but you don't know. Like, I don't know Janine Shapiro's husband. I don't know who Jesse Waters is married to. My wife probably does because she cares about that shit. I don't care about that stuff. So no, and if she's just, some blonde, like, hey, what's going on? What's your name? Who cares? The guy meets tens of thousands of people in a month. I don't think he gives a crap. I wouldn't.
Right. No, that's a fair point.
Yeah. I was just, trying to put it in. I never remember the admiral's wife. I slept with her, but I don't remember her.
Or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wasn't allowed to put that in. All of these things, but with her, they could put in anything. Access,
This
Hollywood.
was a
put in
jury of
anything.
9 people who found you liable of sexual abuse.
From
Do you
New
think
York.
that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready?
I'm ready.
Never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door
Just
of
admitted you
Bergdorf
had your
Goodman, which I
picture taken
rarely
with
go
her.
into, other than for a couple of charities.
No,
I
he's
met her in
pretty
the front door.
convicted about this.
She was about 60 years old, and this is like,
his conviction on this, the tells that he has, look at his shoulders, look at his body language, look at the eye contact. He's pissed. He's like emphatically, usually he's coy. He purses his lips, he's aloof. He's not, he's in your face and he's like, I don't know this bimbo. And that's what I would be, that's what Trump probably should say, because then people are like, oh, wait a second. That's quintessential Trump. Maybe he is telling the truth.
22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry. And a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay?
There you
I don't
go.
know if
Good.
she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I
No,
I
but
add to this?
think of it. Think of it.
I know you're recounting what she said, but Mr.
But
President,
let me just, if I could, because you asked the question.
This was a
just so
jury,
you understand,
though.
if I was walking in at the because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it. I'm not going into a dressing room.
Why does he go to one of those
or a
hotel
department
rooms?
store. Then I
Right.
say, if she was
He owns a
being
freaking
raped, and
hotel.
by the way,
Right.
they said she wasn't raped. Okay, that was her charge. It wasn't.
they found that you sexually abused her.
What? Say what they did. They said he didn't rape her. And
They did
I
not
didn't
say
do
that you
anything
did.
else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr.
I don't
President,
know who this woman
can I
is.
ask you, given your recounting
I
your
don't know who,
version?
and I tell you this.
He's not good at
You know-
explaining that, though. I'll say
But that doesn't, you know what? This doesn't bother me. I would rather see this Trump in the deposition versus the Trump, the neutered Trump, because this is what people love about him. Because he's like, I don't know her. What do you want me to say? I don't know her. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to say that. So, you know what? I don't know, man. This whole
I know
thing.
what you're saying. I totally,
ahead.
I get what you're saying, but there's a bit of a disparity though, because on one hand, just like what you're saying, he's basically making the claim, I don't know her, but oh wait, I had my picture taken with her. We had great chemistry, and then we ended up in a dressing room together.
Leroy, it wasn't a picture. Now, listen, this is where I know you don't like Trump, and that's okay. And because I don't like him sometimes either, but I'm going to defend him when he started. He did not have his picture taken with her. She was walking by, and her body was turned, and she moved her head around because her husband was there, and he was he was moving into a building. She walked by, and her husband shaking Trump's hand. It's not like he put his arm around her and they're in a group photo of four. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so it's like you're at Disneyland and the Smiths walk by when you're getting a picture with Mickey and they're in the back of the picture and you're like, holy shit, the Smiths are in the picture. I know you're not saying that, but this was not something where he went to dinner with them. They met at an event and they were walking into a place and she happened to be in frame because her husband and him were talking. That doesn't mean anything. And look at the balls on Trump. Hey, this is an NBC reporter who could literally destroy me with one show, and I'm going to diddle his wife, and then I'm not going to take her to a hotel room because I own the hotel, and I'm not going to sneak her up there and give her strawberries and champagne. No, I'm going to go with her to buy sexy lingerie, invite her into a room where nobody heard a damn thing, where she didn't come out in tears. I'm going to bang her head against the wall and have stand-up sex with her that never happened. And if he didn't rape her, then how the hell does she have his DNA?
Were they even collecting DNA 30 years ago like
It's
that?
on it. They're saying it's a Monica Lewinsky. It's on her dress. I'm like, so what you're saying is that he ejaculated on you. So he manually masturbated on you, and then you had the presence of mind to save the dress. So 30 years later, both the time in 2016 when he's running, in 2024 and he's running when your book comes out, you magically release it like it's Lucky fucking Charms cereal. Come on, man. Listen, there's thin, there's Karen Carpenter, and then there's anorexic. This is Karen Carpenter. I'll get him on the things I don't like him for, but this one, dude, I still don't feel good about this. This is a civil case. You know why? Because all you got to do is have effort in a civil case. He's got to have effort. And they slapped him with a parking ticket. $5 million for a billionaire? Are you kidding me? 0.0012% of his overall income. Do you think he gives a shit? That's a $500 ticket for us. $5 million. Give me a break. She's going to make more on that on her book in the first quarter. All right, I'm done. Leroy, did you want to chime in on anything, or
No,
are we done?
no, go ahead.
Sorry, buddy. I'm fired up over this one. I'm fired up.
No,
Mr.
I'm
President.
glad because I'm trying to get some understanding, some level of a better understanding over what was happening.
Let
To
me
be
ask you a
perfectly
question.
honest, I did not follow a lot of the
I know.
court stuff that was happening.
I know.
And so a lot of what I'm hearing either for the first, maybe second time.
I know. And that's why, dude, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I know you. That's why
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
filling you in. Dude, let me ask you a question. You're a guy, okay? All right. So you go into a dress room in a public
As
place.
far as I know. Yeah.
You're right. Will you check real quick for me? Are you a guy?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So Leroy's a guy.
There's something there.
So here's the thing. You're telling me that for a full minute and a half or 2 minutes, you go into a dressing room with a girl you don't know. You bring her up in there. You're in a suit and a tie because you've never worn anything else in your life unless you're golfing. So he's in full get up, right? Full button up shirt, undershirt, leather, pants, jacket, cufflinks, patent leather shoes or something. But he doesn't wear patent leather, but you get my point. He's wearing floor shines or something.
He's dressed up.
And he's got ankle socks on. Okay. And he goes in and he bangs her head against the wall, supposedly. And then in that time, while she's resisting and she's struggling, even though she said that she doesn't consider it rape, that it was a fight and it hurt, but doesn't really explain why it did, that he got off. Leroy, at my age, I have to have a seance and literally light candles and get into the Hindu position to effectively do it at my age. I can't imagine Donald Trump. I'm like, yum, 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 yum. And I'm like, Olivia, to the left, to the left, to the left, 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 to the left, to the left, to the left. Shit, we lost it. Let's start over. You're telling me that this guy comes on demand because she's so attractive and so effective? No, rape is not a sexual. It's not a sexual thing. She described something sexual. She described that he went in there, that she went in willingly into a dressing room with a man, tried on sexy lingerie because he asked, and then started messing around. And all of a sudden it turned from willing to fuck around and mess around with somebody to this is assault. It just doesn't make any sense. They hit him because of the defamation. They hit him because he's Donald Trump.
There's several parts of it that not only don't make sense, but though I would immediately call into question. Like I would immediately wonder whether or not she was telling the truth, and that, you know, if she was, then why the hell wasn't this brought up during when he was president?
What about when he was being vetted by the FBI?
Two,
right.
You know, to your point, if this is an encounter that took place over a whopping 2 or 3 minutes, no offense, but that's not a whole lot of time.
No, man, that's like Speedy Gonzalez.
Right. There's several parts of the story that don't make sense, but the fact that he was willing to, and I'm just going to say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
He was willing to contradict himself.
Yes.
Again, basically saying, I never met her, but I was in a room with her. And that's another part of it that just doesn't make a whole lot of damn sense.
Well, how hard is it to go and listen, and we're going to get to the rest of it real quick, and just Leroy and I are having a moment. But how hard is it to go ahead and find someone that they owe punitive damages when you don't show up and you wouldn't provide your DNA? Folks, people are shocked. Oh, she won? Oh, it's a major win. He didn't even show up in his own defense. It's kind of like, it's like playing a fucking Super Bowl game and the 49ers decide to stay home and Dallas Cowboys win. And people are like, how did that happen? How did Dallas pull out that game? Well, San Francisco didn't show up. That's how they won. This is ridiculous. Of course he's going to have to pay her out. But this is the point. Donald Trump thought this was so stupid and so ridiculous that he's like, this is not worth my time. I'll pay the $5 million. I literally will pay the baggage fee penalty and just put my bag 20 pounds over because I don't give a shit. That's essentially what he did. To him, this is a nuisance. So let's play the rest.
Ready?
Can
I swear on my children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this one. This is a fake story.
There you go.
Made
See?
up story. We had a horrible Clinton appointed
that's
judge.
That's the box. That's the line right there.
He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr. President,
this is a
you're
fake
recounting your version
story.
of events here right now to the audience. You referenced the trial. You did not go to the trial and actually testify. Do you wish that you had testified?
No, it wouldn't have made a difference. This is a rigged deal.
Rhonda, it's not that he didn't take the stand. He didn't even show up in the courtroom. He didn't even go to New York. Rhonda, this is ridiculous. Of course the defense is going to tell you not to show up, but they do tell you to show up to your own case. Right? Yeah, of course they do. Sit there and shut up. That's what you do. He didn't have to testify against himself, but he could have just shown up. That would have been a start, because if you don't show up, any jury is going to be like, dude, the guy didn't even show up to his own court case. Of course, we're going to go ahead and go with the plaintiff. Of course, we're going to go ahead and give her the money. Why wouldn't they? They got a one side of a story. It's ridiculous. I love that he said, I swear on my kids. Dude, that right there holds a lot of water with me when it comes to Trump.
This was my lawyer said, sir, you don't have to do it. I actually said, I think I should. It would be respectful. They said, sir, don't do it. This is a fake story, and you don't want to give it credibility.
One
That's
thing
why
you-
I didn't go.
One thing you did do in this.
There you go. Good. Good. Now
And I
move on to
swear,
policy.
I've never done that. And I swear to, I have no idea who the hell. She's a
Mr.
whack
President,
job.
you did
There
not
you go.
testify in person in this trial. There was a taped deposition of you from October in it. You defended the comments that you made on that Access Hollywood tape about being able to grab women
Yeah, this isn't good.
how you want. Do you stand by those comments?
I said, if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, but I said, if you're a star, you are, and I said, women let you. I didn't say you grab. I said, women let. You didn't use that word, but if you look, women let you. Now, they said, will you take that back? I said, look, for a million years, this is the way it's been. I want to be honest. This is the way it's been. I can take it back if you'd like to, but if you're a famous person, if you're a star, and I'm not referring to myself, I'm saying
there's people
people
with
that
power.
are famous, people that are
Yeah.
You were asked
stars,
in the deposition.
people
if you
that are
consider
rich,
yourself to be a star, and
people
you
that are
said yes.
powerful, they tend to do pretty well in a lot of different ways, okay? And you would like me to take that back? I can't take it back because it happens to be true. I said it's been true for 1 million years, approximately a million years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
So you stand by those comments.
Well, I don't want to lie.
Mr. President, we have a lot of
here's what
questions.
she wants
Mr.
me to
President,
say.
let's
A
get to
rich
the
and
audience
famous
questions
person
tonight.
has no advantage over anyone else. Well, you do have an advantage. And I say unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
You said fortunately or unfortunately, but Mr.
fortunately or
President, we have a lot of
unfortunately for
audience
her.
questions to get to tonight. I want to go back to
Good,
the
then
audience.
shut
We've
up and
got
let 'em
Danielle Rieger.
ask.
She works as an oral surgery assistant. She's a Republican activist from Derry. She was a New Hampshire delegate for you in 2020. What's your question?
Now, I'm just saying, if it was the real Donald Trump, that would have been an opportunity. She's an oral surgeon. Oh, sweet.
I was thinking the same thing.
Daddy's got a broken tooth. Do you mind going back in the thing into the dressing room
You
with
need
me?
a
I'm a
cavity
star.
filled young lady.
That's right. I got a calcium injection for that bad tooth. Jeez.
Hi, thank you so much for coming to New Hampshire
Thank
to
you.
answer our questions. My question is regarding the economy. Over the past 2 years,
There you
we
go.
have seen the prices for everything skyrocket. From food to gas to utilities and insurance costs, many people's bills are up several $100s a month, including mine. If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill.
There you go. Finally. Fine. It literally
Deploying
is
a,
now. Hold on. It's 52 minutes in and a lot talking. So we're going to say 25 to 30 minutes in, and we finally have to a policy. We're finally at a policy. Ridiculous. Go ahead, Leroy. Did you have something else?
Oh, I was just going to say, way to coin a, wasn't that Sarah Palin said that?
Oh, I'm sure somebody said it. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's been
Well,
said.
no, but I mean, the point is valid.
Of course it's
Yeah,
valid.
to basically
Drill.
let the companies do their thing, stop restricting them. Let's pull back a little bit on the regulation, and the people that are able to advantage the most off of that is the general public.
Correct. 100%.
So we were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. And nobody had ever done what I did. We got oil down to $1.87. Actually, it fell lower than that in some cases. We had to save the oil companies. The price was getting so. We were doing incredibly. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country, probably the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. We were going to be bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together ×2. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation. And these stupid fools ended it. And energy went from $1.87 and even lower for gasoline, for a car. They went from $1.87 to $5, $6, $7, $8, and even $9. And your electricity bills went through the roof. Your heating bills went through the roof. And that's what started inflation.
I know Sarah Palin said it. That was like 08 or some shit. But didn't like a governor say it or something like that?
Yeah,
beforehand.
I want to say Maryland.
Oh,
Maryland,
Mike
maybe?
Steele. Mike Steele said it. He was lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
Anyway, just drill, baby, drill. It does. It's been used. It's on Texas bumper stickers everywhere in Texas. When you drive around Texas, you see it. Drill, baby, drill.
And it hasn't stopped because people are paying now for bacon and for eggs and for the 2 and 3 times what it was just a little while ago. We created the greatest economy in history. A big part of that economy was got you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan cuts, bigger than any. And also,
Danny Diaz, what exactly did he say there that was a lie? Can you please point out specifically? I understand you're upset. I understand you're frustrated. Please tell me what Trump just said about energy independence with a complete recap of 2016 to 2020. Obviously, we want to go ahead and backdate that from COVID because as Joe Biden has suffered from the remnants of COVID, Donald Trump was affected by that also. We're starting to see some things come back down, which is good. Right. I'll give Biden credit for that a lot of that is just normalization in the economy. But let's go ahead and assume that there are some things you're saying that he's lying about. What are they? You can call the show if you want to. Or you can write them in if you want to. Olivia is going to put up a link to the show and we'll get you in after we watch this. Go ahead, Leroy.
What I was going to say was specifically to Danny, what is disgusting and where the lies are coming in is when someone says that they're not going to raise the taxes on anybody who's making less than $400,000. And yet by the time we get to the end of the year, inflation is so bad that it is effectively stolen money out of everyone's savings account. And then to Trump's point, then when I go to buy eggs, when I go to buy bread, when I go to buy anything, I now have to pay so much more because the government cannot control their spending. That's where the disgusting lies come in. Sorry. Go ahead.
And the thing about it, Danny, is that you just walk into this show and you immediately see Trump and you immediately project those feelings that you have from that audience onto everyone in this room. I have sat here and picked apart Trump when he's right. And I've nailed him when he's wrong because I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. See, some people go ahead and look at the hierarchy of a politician and they look at that person and sum up their whole parts. I don't. I look at their individual stance on everything and I give you an honest opinion of what I think. I don't care who it is. So I'm not sure what you're talking about with Trump. What did he say that wasn't the truth? Love to hear it.
So, Caitlin, also, as you know, we got the biggest regulation and regulatory cuts. This place was rocking. And then we were given a gift from China and China paid a big price. And let me tell you something, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes from China. But prior to COVID coming in, and then I rebuilt the economy again, a second time. But we had prior to COVID coming in as from China, from Wuhan, which I said it came from Wuhan. Everybody said, oh, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. It came from Wuhan. I said it right from day one. So we had the greatest economy in the world. Here's the story. They made energy so high, and energy is all invasive. It is massive.
Yeah, Danny can call in after we're done with Trump because people want to watch this. And I'm not going to get into a huge debate. So stick around. And we'll take phone calls and you can call in and tell us why you think Trump's lying. I mean, take some notes, folks. I mean, it's just like class. Listen to the speaker, take some notes, and then let's go ahead. And if you have questions at the end, throw them out there. And I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. Who gives a shit? It doesn't bother me. Just don't be an idiot. Don't commit Trump-tard and libtard. We don't need that shit.
As an industry and as cost.
Exactly.
It lifted everything. If
Mr.
you
President,
made, if you made donuts, if you made, no matter what you did, and we had inflation, the likes of which I guess we haven't, as I said, for 52 years, but I think more than that. We had no inflation. We had the lowest energy prices we've had in decades. This country was rocking and rolling. And by the way, we had the most secure border in the history of our country.
Mr. President, we have more questions
there you go.
on the economy. I want to make sure we get to all of those. As you know, the U.S. right now could be just 3 weeks away from defaulting on its debt. That could mean millions of jobs lost, people not getting their Social Security payments. People believe it would put the U.S. economy into a recession.
No, we're only doing video. Skype is breaking left and right. Just call it. I won't put you on video. I'll just take you as a phone call. Or if you want to come on in video, I have the ability to do that now. I can just bring your voice in or get your video. And if you don't want to be on video, just turn the camera around, put your thumb over it, whatever. Okay. Nobody's going to steal your image. Yeah, go.
Real quick, I'd also like to make a quick point. In 2023, the taxes increased on corporations by $16.7 billion. Now, do corporations pay taxes, Matt? Corporations
usually do not pay taxes like the normal person. When you're talking about income, Go ahead.
Where
Go ahead.
I was leading with that was, no, they don't, because in order to offset any bites into their profit, all they do is
They
bump up
raise the
their
prices.
right, in order to pay for those taxes. So really,
Right, but
who
they don't
pays for
pay.
those
But
taxes?
hold on, time out. That's not fair. They don't pay taxes like the normal person does anyway. So there's no income tax that they pay. But federal and
Right.
state taxes they do pay. But they like Leroy said, they go ahead and put that into the overhead in their prices. So you may not pay it now, but you will pay it in the upcoming quarters. So they continue their profit margin. Go ahead, Leroy. Sorry.
Right. And all I was headed with that, where I was headed with that, is that it's the customer that pays those taxes. Really.
Correct. That's true. And then what's great about that is that the government gets to hit it again.
Right. So an additional
So-
$16.7 billion.
Yeah,
Thank
we are taxed over and over and over and over on the same dollar, which is the problem. Here we go.
On that topic, I want to bring in Marta Cervella, a student here at St. Anselm. She is an undeclared voter who did not vote in 2020.
Oh, she's
Marta, what's your
she's got a
question?
loaded question.
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi, thank you.
So my question is, what do you think about the United States' current debt situation, and how can we move forward?
That's a good one, actually.
Such an important question.
That's
So
actually
we're
a
at
good question.
$33 trillion, a number that nobody ever thought possible. When we had our economy rocking and rolling just prior to COVID coming in, like literally, we were making a fortune. And oil, we were going to make some.
Julie Prather, what is he making up? Be specific. You just can't just say he's making shit up. Tell us, what is he making up? What specifically is made up? Lay the facts down on us.
much money from oil. We were going to start paying off debt. But then with COVID coming in, we had to do other things. We had to keep this country alive because it was so serious. But we have to get the country back. We have to lower energy prices. We have to lower interest rates. Interest rates are through the roof. Energy has to come down. It all has to come down, and we have to start paying off debt. But when we have a debt limit, and they use that very seriously in me, they came in, Schumer came in with Nancy Pelosi, and they were using, we'll violate it, we'll do whatever. They talked a whole lot different than they do right now. I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default. And I don't believe they're going to do a default, because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave, because you don't want to have that happen. But it's better than what we're doing right now, because we're spending money like drunken sailors.
So
You know
just
the
to be clear,
expression?
Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans
We
are
what he
might
demanding?
as well
said.
do it now, because you'll do it later. Because
That's
we have
right.
to save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed.
Okay, quickly. That's, see, the problem, this is like trying to explain to somebody nuclear fusion who believes that the smallest matter on earth is a grain of sand. There is one thing you're not going to win with Donald Trump when it comes to economy, when it comes to the dollar, when it comes to world valuation. This guy knows more than you because he bathes in it. He lives in it. And she's trying to play a game here. It comes down to this. There comes a point when we stop taking in less than what we spend.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you get a deficit. Now, you can spend more like Donald Trump did. Trump was one of the most highest spending presidents ever. But the problem with that is he's not ranked the highest, bringing that dollar to our deficit, because his growth was one of the best ever. So if you are growing and your income is exceeding your spend and they parallel each other, you have a buffer zone. Now, he didn't balance the budget. He didn't go ahead and cut spending. What he did was he spent the money he had based upon the growth and the trajectory of the economy, and quarter by quarter went ahead and added tax cuts based upon a surplus of dollars versus the spend. It's really simple. It's easy math. Now, the problem what he's saying is the following. Because we are making less and we're spending more, the growth rate is adding money to the deficit at a rapid clip.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if we default, because the payments are going to get so large. It's like a credit card. You don't pay the minimum, because then nothing goes to the principal. And after some time, over a couple of years, you've added $2,000, $3,000 of interest onto your original amount. And now your payments are so astronomical, you can't get ahead. That's what he's talking about. So you either default and restructure, or you continue to waste money on interest and never get to the principal.
This is simple math. That's what he's saying. Leroy, what did I miss?
Nothing. I was just going to say, it really wasn't
Nelson,
that
you're
long
full
ago.
of shit. He did not say he'll terminate the Constitution. You're full of shit because I just proved that 30 minutes ago and gave you the quote. Pull your head out of your ass. Don't lie on the show. You're not going to win. If you think you will, click the link, call in, and tell me when he said, I will terminate the Constitution. You're so full of shit. Go ahead, Leroy.
We had a
Nelson,
comment.
Nelson is
Hold on.
basically saying,
Hold on. Let Leroy go. Go, Leroy.
I was just going to say, he also said he had 6 bankruptcies. I am your excellency. Come on, dude. Really? You had 6 bankruptcies? God, learn how to pay your bills. Look, all I was going to say was that it wasn't really that long ago when the Democrats believed in fiscal responsibilities.
That's right.
It was under Kennedy. Kennedy had actually said that our true choice is not between tax reduction and the avoidance of large federal deficits. It's increasingly clear that an economy hampered by restrictive tax rates will never produce enough revenue to balance the budget. That was Kennedy. Can we get back? Can the left get back to that?
No, because the left has never been about fiscal spending. They may say that, and then when they go to the middle, but during the primary, they go ahead and say that, or the general. But they don't say that in the first year and a half of office. They spend, they cut defense, and then they go ahead and get back to middle like they are right now, and the economy writes itself out. They know what to do. They choose not to do it because it doesn't go along with their party platform. Because when you give free shit away and you promise the sky and the wind and the moon, but the problem is that Biden, if you notice, is not doing free college, reparations, Gavin Newsom's pulling away because they're 18 billion in fucking debt. This is the problem with Democratic policy is they don't have any money because they waste and spend, and then they go ahead and say, well, now we don't have any money, and they cut the crucial things that they promised you. This is why you don't have free college. That's why we don't have universal health care. That's why we don't have fucking reparations going out. That's why we're not adding anything to the Green New Deal. Why don't you wake up? Democrats promise everything and give you nothing. At least Republicans say, we want the fucking status quo. We don't want to change. We want the government to remain the size it is or be smaller. At least you know what you're going to get from Republicans. They're not going to give you shit and they're going to make you do it yourself. Good. Go ahead. What's the comment?
All right. So this is about the oil. Karen Love My Life Harris said oil is a
Wait. Her name is what?
Karen Love My Life Harris.
Well, Karen, I'm glad you love your life. That's good. All right. Go ahead and go with her question.
Oil is a globe marketplace and we are still drilling at the same rate. That's why what he said is a lie. Somebody pointed out and told me to read it to you.
What? Say it again. What did she say?
Okay, hang on. Now I got to find it.
That we're drilling at the same rate?
We're not drilling at the same rate that we were. We're importing more oil than we have since fucking before Obama. What? Give me a stat. I'm not, you know what? Give me a number. And if you think that the United States does not impact the cost of oil, when the number one area for oil in the fucking world is the Middle East, and the oil is based on the American dollar, lady, you've got a whole nother problem. We gave up the freaking gold standard. We gave up the silver certificates. We gave up the silver notes. Our dollars are not based on minerals anymore. They are based on oil, period, plain and simple. That's why Saudi Arabia uses and prices the dollar of a barrel of, prices the barrel of oil in American dollars for that reason. If you believe that our dollar goes down or inflation goes up or we stop buying oil or we start producing more oil, that doesn't affect OPEC and the overall prices, then you don't know what you're talking about. Because everyone knows if the United States gets a cold, the rest of the world gets the flu. We've been saying this on this show for a long time. The rest of the world was in a fairly decent place economically until COVID hit the United States, and then the whole fucking world went downhill. And I said it would. And Leroy yelled at me and told me I was wrong. And I said, watch what happens in Europe. They're going to have riots in the street, and they're going to move towards bankruptcy because the United States, they will feel it this time because of things like oil, because of things like wheat, because of energy. And that's exactly what happened. All right, Leroy, do you want to chime in on that, or can we press play?
No, go ahead and hit play. I could go on for hours on that topic.
I just get fired up. I'm girding my loins.
Destroyed by stupid people.
Oh, Nelson says disingenuous, pathological, mendacious, perpetrating liars. You just used the same 4 words to describe the same thing. What did you fucking pull out a thesaurus out of your butthole? And nepotism and steal money for the wall. Don't forget Bannon and the rest of the okay, you're done, dude. Bro, nepotism. You need to go listen. You need to go listen to Blue Anon.
That's
now,
the leftist mantra is nepotism.
Right. Let's talk about the Biden 9. Let's talk about the Biden 9. I mean, dude, seriously, bro, as much as I despise QAnon, Blue Anon is getting pretty bad too. And they are just as insane. And everything you just said, disingenuous, pathological, mendacious, perpetrating liars. It's a lot of good words, bro.
Oh,
I mean, I got to give you credit. Unless you have a thesaurus coming out your ass, I got to give you credit. Those are very, very much
It looks like a
10-cent
copy
words.
and paste.
It's pretty. I don't know what it is, but anyway.
I don't know.
Very stupid
Mendacious.
people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the
That's
Oval
when I was
Office.
president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
Wow.
That's a Reagan answer right there. That's good.
Yeah.
The U.S. defaulting would be massively
Well, you
consequential
don't know.
for everyone in this room, for all
You don't know.
Americans.
It's psychological. It's really psychological more than anything else. And it could be very bad. It could be maybe nothing. Maybe you have a bad week or a bad day. But look, you have to cut your costs. We're spending $7 trillion on much of it on nonsense.
Nelson says better than you can do. Trump University, dude. You wouldn't stand a chance on my show. Call in, Liv.
Yeah.
Please give Nelson.
Please call in.
Nelson, please call in. Nelson, please show me how smart you are. Just blow me away with your dizzying intellect, please. Transcend the depths of universal contemplation, beset by your own personal paradox with me, please. I could not wait for you to call. Please do. She's going to give you the link right now. Look below and you'll see a URL, and then just dial it and get your silly ass in here. And bring your thesaurus.
$7 trillion on nonsense.
We've got
And I
another
actually
question from a
said,
voter tonight.
get all of that money that was wasted, and frankly, the Senate should have never approved it. Get all that money that was wasted, and if they don't get rid of that, you'll have to default. Okay?
Mr.
You'll have to
President,
default.
we've got another voter here tonight.
And by the way, you're going to default eventually anyway, but it's going to
Nelson says, Matt, did you graduate from Trump University? No, nobody did. That's the problem with Trump University. Nice one, shithead. Some of us served our country. What did you do? Did you suck off your mommy and daddy's tit for most of your life? You seem like a privileged little fucker. Why don't you call in? Call in, dude. I'm being nice to you. You know what? I'll give you $100 to your PayPal account. You call in. I'll give you $100. Just send you $100. Okay? You call in, you make $100. That's all you got to do is call in. You got to have a conversation. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and you can say anything you want. I'll give you $100. Best deal you're going to get all night. Your wife doesn't even make that much in a night.
But you actually have to listen to the rebuttal. You can't just say what you want and leave.
That's not even a part of the deal. I just want you to come on here and make an argument. Let's see what you can do. Let's see how smart you are. Show me. And we can compare degrees.
have never approved it. Get all that money that was wasted, and if they don't get rid of that, you'll have to default. Okay?
Mr.
You'll have to
President,
default.
we've got another voter here
And
tonight.
by the way, you're going to default eventually anyway, but it's going to be much messier. I don't think you'll have to default. I think if the Republicans hold strong and they say we want let's say we want $5 trillion off, I really think the Democrats have no choice but to do it. And if I win, they're going to be doing the same thing to me in 2 years. I guarantee you that.
Mr.
They're
President,
going
we've
to
got
play a
another
very
voter
hardball
here
game,
tonight.
and they did that before.
Bobby Petrino has been waiting very patiently.
Sure.
He's a student at St. Anselm. He's a member of College Republicans. He's an undeclared voter right now. He supported you in 2020. Bobby, what's your question for President Trump?
Hi, thank you for coming. This
There's
is a bit
no
of a
way
pivot,
that kid
but,
voted in
with gun violence
2020.
and mass shootings in the news cycle recently, I'm worried that
All right, well, hold
state
on. I wanna hear
governments
this one.
and the federal government are going to act to repress gun rights. Under your administration, you instructed the Department of Justice and the ATF to ban bump stocks. If elected president again, how would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights that have been taken from us, such as, by example, recently the ATF's ruling on the pistol stabilizing braces?
Yeah, as you know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing. And NRA, I went with.
Nelson, anytime you want to see my DD214, I'll be happy to pull it up, and so will Leroy. We'll pull up our DD214s.
We can't see any of his comments.
It doesn't matter. It's because they're not force ranked in here. So you want to go, everyone keeps saying that. He's Facebook. I can see him. I have God mode. You want to compare our DD214s? So first you wanted to compare intellect, and you're too much of a pussy to call that. You want to go ahead and compare DD214s? You want to see my service jacket and compare what I did and what Leroy did versus you? Let's go ahead and do that. Why don't you send over your DD214, owner@don'tunfriendme.com, and we'll go ahead and compare. We'll put them online. Let's do that. Let's see if you've got the courage to do that. You keep talking shit, you're going to get punted because you're too much of a fucking coward to call in. See, bro, I already know you didn't serve because anybody that served would have the balls to go ahead and face me. You can't even face your own insecurities. How the fuck are you going to face me? Keep talking smack, dude. You're going to get punted.
with them, and they said it doesn't mean anything. Or actually, all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately. So we did that. There's been nobody that's protected the Second Amendment, as you know, like I have. I protected it through thick and thin, not easy to do. But we have a very big mental health problem in this country. And again, it's not the gun that pulls the trigger. It's the person that pulls the trigger. And we have to protect our Second Amendment.
There you go.
We have to protect our Second Amendment.
Mr. President, you dealt with a lot of mass shootings when you were in office. This year, there have already been more than 200 mass shootings in 2023.
Glenn, please stop linking the number. We're not doing the phone number. Please link the URL. You want to call in, there's the URL. It's coming up right now. Olivia's putting it in chat right now.
If you are reelected, are there any new gun restrictions that you would sign into law?
I would do numerous things. For instance, schools, we would harden, very much harden. And I'm a very believer. I believe in teachers. I love teachers. I think they're incredible. And they love the children, not quite like the parents, but they love the children in many cases almost as much. Many of these teachers are soldiers, ex-soldiers, ex-policemen. They're people that really understand weapons. And you don't need 5% of the teachers would be more than you could ever have if you're going to hire security guards. But in addition to that, have security guards. You have to harden your entrances. You have to make schools safe. And you can make other places safe. But it is a big mental health problem in this country more than anything else. And remember, we have 700 million guns, 700 million. Many people, if they don't have a gun, they're not going to be very safe. I mean, if they don't have a gun, it gives them security. Now, you need them for entertainment. You need them for hunting. You need them for a lot of different things. But there are people that if they didn't have the privilege of having a gun in some form, many of them would not be alive today. You know, there's a certain country that had a very strict policy on guns, very, very strict.
Which country?
And, Brazil, okay? Brazil, very strict. And the former president of Brazil, and the killing was incredible. They were walking into people's homes and killing people. They had no protection. He said, go out and buy guns. People went out and bought guns, and it went way down. The numbers went way down because they had security. If you look at Chicago, Chicago has the single toughest gun policies in the nation. They are so tough you can't breathe. New York, too, and other places also. All of those places are the worst and most dangerous places. So that's not the answer.
No new restrictions that you would sign if reelected, Mr. President. I want you to meet Julie Miles, or register.
Now, this is the problem, is that somebody got in her ear and said, shut up and let him talk. Because now she's facilitating a conversation. That's what a town hall is. It's not you versus the frickin' moderator. Her job is to facilitate questions, but what they did for the first 30 minutes was just play fact check grab ass. By the way, I noticed that punk ass Nelson didn't come in. He must not have served. He must not have won $100.
Baby Balls didn't want to call in and
well, his wife will make that on the street corner tonight, I'm sure. So good for him.
Registered nurse from Merrimack. She's a Republican who voted for you in 2020. Julie, what's your question for the president?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate you answering this question this evening. How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
This right here is either going to sink him or it's going to bump him in the polls. This is the answer. Here it is. Let's see.
You need to rewind it because you were talking throughout the question.
Everyone heard it.
I couldn't.
Well,
I heard it.
All right, here we go.
Those places are the worst and most dangerous places. So that's not the answer.
No new restrictions that you would sign if reelected, Mr. President. I want you to meet Julie
No,
Miles, a
no
registered nurse
restrictions.
from Merrimack.
Okay,
She's a
stop talking.
Republican who voted for you in 2020. Julie, what's your question for the president?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate you answering this question this evening. How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
It's such a great question, and it was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made. And look, everybody that was president wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50
Republicans?
years. Republicans. For 50 years, this has been going on. Actually, a couple of Democrats too. But for 50 years, this has been going on.
Pamela says, yep, so much interruption, can't follow the show. The show is us talking. I'm not your cable provider, Pamela. If you're unhappy, go call Comcast, go call DirecTV and pay for CNN. I will continue to interrupt the show because we don't want to get hit with copyright. Because you can't stream and do this because it's illegal unless the content that we provide is more abundant than what we're watching. Explained it 100 times. And if I've mistook what you're trying to say, then I apologize. But, you know, it's really frustrating. You're not paying my bill. Do you know how much this costs me to run? So have a little common respect and, you know, maybe a thank you. But to sit here and, you know, snap your fingers and say, waiter, can I have a glass of water and no please and thank you? I'm sorry. I'm going to pee.
Somebody said she's not talking about you.
I hope not.
Facebook is freezing.
Okay, fine. All right. But you're not, okay, Pamela, take your name out of it. But the people who are bitching and complaining, you gotta just lighten up, man. This is the way it is. Leroy, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the show is not the Donald Trump on CNN show. This is the Don't Unfriend Me show, and you dial into that.
Yep. Sorry, Pamela. I didn't know you were. See, this is why I'm not yelling and screaming. I'm just saying, come on, people, have a little bit of common decency and courtesy. We're not here for your personal fucking amusement. You know what I'm saying, Jerky? What am I, a clown? Am I a clown for you?
On. I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it. But by doing it, things are happening that are very, very positive. And I happen to believe in the exceptions, the life of the mother, rape, incest, like Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions. But I happen to believe that. I think it's frankly important to do
Who's
that. But a lot of people
Como
are
I'm talking to.
you know,
She's like, who the hell are you, moron?
A relatively small number. But the way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical.
Hold on a second.
Because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? They said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute the baby.
But Mr. President, can we talk about what you would do if
these are the
if
radical
you are
people.
reelected?
It's not the pro-life people that are radical.
But if you are reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that we were able, I'm so proud of it. We put 3 great justices on the Supreme Court. We have almost 300 federal judges on the Supreme Court.
All right, 1 second. We got Donald calling in. All right, Donald. Hold on a second, buddy. Donald, can you hear us? See if I can get him in here.
Donald,
can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Donald. Go
there
ahead. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I was just wondering because I just finished watching it. I want to hear your thoughts on.
Let's finish. Do me a favor. Call me back in 20 minutes when we finish this thing. Cool. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Later, buddy. All right.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you would sign a federal abortion ban into law.
I said this. I want to
not
do
what he
what's
said.
right, and we're looking, and we want to do what's right for everybody.
But what's right?
But now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating capability, because you didn't have it before. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby was born. Now they won't be able to do that.
But I think this is a really important question for you to answer, because this is something every Republican, including those who are running against you for the nomination, are being asked about, is would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
And many of them are going to give you the same answer as I am. First of all, I am honored to have done what I did. And a lot of people said in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm honored to have done it.
That's good. He's answering it the right way.
And because of what I've done, we now have a great negotiating ability. That's what I do in life. I negotiate. We have a great negotiating.
See, the answer to this question is not that we have a great negotiating ability, because you take human life as a number or a moniker or a statistic. And that's not what you want to do. You want to bring in the human emotion in this. So the answer to this, so for any Donald Trump's campaign who are patching into this, and God, I would hope that maybe somebody who knows him can tell him this. The answer to this is, that's not up to me. I'm the president of the United States, and who I represent are the governors of their states. And that is going to be up to the people of the United States. And I have given them that gift to have this debate, to have this conversation, and to have this on a national stage. And I hope they appreciate it, because it's something that has remained in the shadows for 45 years, and over 67 million babies have been murdered by our inability to have this conversation, and now we get to have it. So the states will decide. And that is my job to go ahead and do that. And when they have reached a 60% agreement, I will codify it with what the states ask for. Until then, the states get to decide, because that's the way it should be according to the 10th Amendment. And slam this fucker shut.
Absolutely. If he stuck to saying nothing more than quoting the Constitution, that would come off as a win. That's all he needed to do. And to Matt's point, to basically say, look, this is something that is now being controlled by the people, by the states, by the people in those states. Therefore, I am out of it. It is up to you to run it.
Right.
That's all he had to say.
That's it. But see, he gets so complicated. And abortion is not a statistic. It's not a number. And yes, you're good at negotiation, but we're not selling a car here or a real estate property. Human life is the single most important thing and the gift that we've given. It's our job to protect it. And that is my job as president. I've done that. And now the states get to decide. Period. End of story. Shut her up.
Yep.
You're not going to get an answer from me, lady, because I don't rule with a thumb. I'm not going to make an executive order like Joe Biden. I'm going to listen to the American people. That's the answer.
Ability, and I think we're going to be able to get
But what do you
something
mean
done.
negotiating ability? Because the question that Republicans have,
lady.
and some of your allies on Capitol Hill say that they want to introduce legislation when it comes to banning abortion. If they send it to your desk, would you sign it?
Some people are at 6 weeks. Some people are at 3 weeks,
Where's
2
President
weeks.
Trump?
President Trump is going to make a determination what he thinks is great for the country and what's fair for the country. But the fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We are in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk about radicalism. People that will kill a baby in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the pro-life.
I just want to give you.
There you go. Good answer.
There it
Boom.
is.
Drop the mic. No, you're not going to get another question. You're done. Move on.
Whether or not you'd sign a federal abortion ban, or how many weeks into pregnancy you believe abortion should be banned.
Yeah, but I've
Can you
given
answer
you,
either
I've
of those
given you
tonight?
the answer probably 4 times
Up
already.
to the states.
Yes, and I believe in the sanctity of human life. I don't believe in answering questions that have no pertinence to the solution to the problem, which is we have to protect the sanctity of life. So honestly, that's the answer. I mean, it's the simplest thing. The federal government doesn't get to decide that we can murder people. I'm sorry. That's just not.
He should sit there and recite the preamble and just
Yeah.
say, look, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, blah, blah, blah,
Correct.
blah. Get to the point where it's life.
That's it. It's just about life. You're asking me for a hypothetical situation. I'm telling you, I'm going to do what's in the best interest for the people. And the states will decide that. It's you're not passing the buck because it's not up to him. There is no more federal power over Roe v. Wade and an abortion. It's not up to the federal government anymore. And that's what we want. So he's going to, all he has to say is, that's not my decision. It's not my decision. I brought this back to the states because that was what was best for the country. And nobody had the guts to do it. Let's talk about Jerusalem. Let's talk about recognizing Jerusalem and Israel. Everybody wanted to do that and promised it in their campaign speeches. I got that done too. Let me tell you what else I've done. Let's talk about the caliphate. Let's talk about tariffs. Let's talk about no proxy wars. He can go peace in the Middle East. But the problem with Trump is that he gets fixated on one thing. Now, I love how he just said that. I answered it 4 times. I don't know how many other ways I can answer it. That's perfect.
Someone said she looks like Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh, she's a pretty lady. She's just, listen.
She does. She is, honestly, she looks a little like him.
But here's the thing.
Dylan Mulvaney for a girl is
not bad
for a
looking.
boy, for a man,
Yeah.
for a man, he's not a girl.
Yeah.
For a man, listen. Listen, I have no problem.
He has a strong
This isn't
jawline.
about Dylan Mulvaney wearing makeup and a dress. He does it very well. He's just not a woman. That's the only argument I have. I don't care. You want to dress up like that? Great. Good for you. I support you. I'll die for that. I'll stand with you shoulder to shoulder if anyone tries to hurt you. You should be able to wear a dress and wear makeup. What you don't get to do is say that you're my wife and you are the very caliber of my wife. You're not. You're a man who's dressing up like a woman. That's what you get from me. But I will die for your right to dress like that. And so will every other person with common sense. You can do whatever the hell you want. I support your right for freedom of expression, period.
Which one
I'm
is it,
looking
though?
at a solution that's going to work. Very complex issue for the country. You have people on both sides of an issue, but we are now in a very strong position. Pro-life people are in a strong position to make a deal that's going to be good and going to be satisfactory for them. If you weren't able to get rid of, you wouldn't even be having a discussion if you weren't able to get rid of Roe v. Wade, which put pro-life in a dead position, a horrible position.
There you
They
go.
could kill the baby at any time they wanted to, but we did something that nobody thought was doable. And other Republican presidents, and others, by the way, they wanted to get it out. They also wanted to bring it back to the states, but bringing it back to the states is a less important issue.
But that's why
than
it's
the
the
issue
question
that we
about a
just talked
federal
about.
abortion ban. You
Well,
did not say yes or no to that.
It
You did
depends
not
what
say how many
it depends
weeks.
what the deal is. Lindsey Graham's
did not say
a good
how many
man.
weeks.
He's got an idea, and a lot of other people have an idea. And I look at all the
And a
different
lot of people
ideas, and
will
I'll
be curious
make the,
what
I'll
your
make the right
idea is on
decision.
that. President Trump,
She already
we've got,
answered you.
More questions to come for you tonight. We'll
make
be
the right
right back
decision for the
in just a
Ooh,
moment.
she's annoying.
In your teeth.
I want to thank
and
Town
another
Hall
thing too,
Badlands
yeah.
Media for
Yeah.
hosting this tonight. They don't know they're hosting this for me. It doesn't cost them a damn thing. It's off Rumble. I'm just helping their number. So I want to appreciate that, siphoning off their feed, because unfortunately we couldn't get it. So thank these guys. If you haven't had a chance to go follow them, please do.
The questions are very similar to Caitlin Collins' questions,
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So
Okay.
back to
Yeah,
CNN, Republican
one thing,
presidential town hall,
I think it's a
former
testament
President
to the
Donald
fact
Trump.
that they can't find
President
people
Trump
who
would
don't
to meet
like him.
Jennifer Simmons. She is a stay-at-home mom and former town selectman from Wyndham. She's a Republican, and she voted.
That's a really interesting point, that CNN can't find people who don't like him. That host made a great point. I mean, you're CNN. You're the number one, most recognizable station for Democrats and liberals and leftists, and you can't find one person who likes Trump to work for you. That's a statement that's bold. It's not that it speaks ill of Trump. It speaks ill of CNN that their people are so entrenched. Like, listen, I could go on Fox News and I could go ahead and say some things about Joe Biden in a positive and negative light. I can speak about Donald Trump in a positive and negative light, because that's what impartiality is, folks. You've got to be able to call balls and strikes. And a lot of people don't have the ability to call a ball and a strike. All they want to do is, their team's up, they want to go ahead and call balls all day. The opposition's up, you want to call strikes. Well, I don't play that game. That's why I piss so many people off, and probably why we're not sitting at, 1 million people already. And because people don't like the fact that I call out Trump when he's wrong, and I I give him props when he's right. And that's what our panel does here. We call balls and strikes.
Voted for you in 2020. Jennifer, what's your question tonight?
Good evening, Mr. President. Title 42 is expected to expire tomorrow. Our southern border and now our northern
Not
border
anymore.
are experiencing record migration. We learned on May.
If you don't know this, sorry, Joe Biden now reinstated Donald Trump's policy and reinstated Title 42 in the witching hour. Yeah, fuck yeah, of course he did. He's a freaking liar. It's another lie in his campaign. He stood up on that debate stage and said, there's no way Title 42, blah, 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 blah. It's racist. It's xenophobic. Don't you guys remember this? Well, he just put it back in place. So you know what? Fuck Joe Biden. He's a liar.
May 2nd that the Biden administration plans on deploying 1,500 troops to the southern border. Do you agree with deploying troops to the border? And how will a Trump administration slow down the rate of migrants coming across all our borders?
Sure. A very fair question, especially since tomorrow is going to be a day of infamy. You're going to have tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. Even the judge, the judge overruled them when they wanted to terminate it early. And he said, that you better extend this thing. The judge in Texas said, I hope you're going to extend this, but this is my policy that they're letting terminate because they lost in court. They wanted to go earlier. You're going to have millions of people pouring into our country right now at a level that nobody's ever seen before. These people are sick. Anybody that wants this to happen to our country, they're destroying our country, and this should not be allowed to happen. How they're not going to do a version of Title 42 or my Title 42, which was tough. If people are sick and have infectious diseases and lots of other problems, we don't want them being
Title
into our
42.
country. We have enough problems right now. We have problems like we've never had in the history of our country.
But Mr. President,
our country is being destroyed.
The reason it's ending is because the health policy, the COVID era pandemic emergency, is coming to an end. That's what Title 42 was. You put it in place because
That's
of COVID.
true, but
when it comes to big questions about what your immigration policy would look like if you are reelected,
there we
some
go.
of your
Now we're
Republican
getting to the
rivals
heart
have
of the matter.
criticized you for not fulfilling the promises that you made on the campaign trail, like finishing the border wall. So how did voters know that you would get those done if you're reelected?
I did finish the wall. I built a wall. I built hundreds of miles of wall. and I finished it. And then I said, we have to build some more because there are areas like water going through a dam. There are some areas where a lot of people are coming. You close up one and they come into another. And we started another 100 miles of wall. In fact, I said to my people, if we start this and don't finish it, and then we had a rigged election, I'm sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged, Mr. President. You can't keep saying that all night long.
And so
You cannot
then
keep saying
they
that the
took
election
over
was
and
rigged.
they decided not to finish it. It would have taken them 3 weeks. I built hundreds of miles of wall. If we didn't have it, it would be hard to believe it could be any worse. They're just letting people flow
There
into
it
our
is.
country. Look, a
There it
country
is.
has to have
In major pivot ahead of Title 42 immigration catastrophe, Biden admin revives Trump era border policy. Yeah, I reported that on Twitter. You guys didn't get that? You guys got to start following me on Twitter. I was on top of this. I posted that at like 2:15, and that was before most people. And essentially what he did is he swore that he would not reinstate Title 42. Now they renamed it and they tweaked it, and it's fucking Title 42. He does what he always does. He essentially rehashes old policy of Donald Trump and then just renames it. Same thing that they did with insulin. So this is what he does. But yeah, he's already done it. But it's nowhere. You're not going to find it in the news. You're not going to find it anywhere. It's not going to be in the news cycle. Go do a search for it right now. You're not going to find shit.
borders. There's never
If
been
you don't have
anything like
Twitter,
that
get
that's happening
Twitter.
to our
That's a
country.
simple
You
solution.
built about 52 miles of new wall when you were in office,
See that?
Mr. President. It wasn't the complete wall. One other thing that with
No, but I have to
immigration-
respond to that.
With your immigration, it was only about
Okay,
52
can I
miles of
respond?
new wall.
This is what she does. I built hundreds of miles. Some of the wall was up there and it would be laying on the ground, rusted, rotten steel, rusted, rotten wood, a little. And what the radical left crazy Democrats did, if there's a piece of wood laying down, they consider that a wall. I built 30-foot walls that go down 7 feet into the ground. If there was a little piece of wood sitting in the ground, they said, oh, he's not building a wall. We already had a wall. Because this is the game. They're a party of disinformation.
It's not a game, Mr. President. It's about 52 miles of new wall. One other immigration policy you
I
had
built
when you were
new
in
wall.
office.
I built new wall.
52 miles
For hundreds of
according to
miles.
CBP, Mr.
What I did is I
President.
replaced other wall that was laying down, that was up and rotting in the ground for 30 years. Some of it was steel that you couldn't
Mr.
even
President,
see.
it was only about 52 miles of new wall. But moving on, another immigration policy you had was the zero tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
Well, when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building
But
the
would you
prisons for the
re-implement
children.
that if you're reelected? Is
Well,
that what you're saying?
we have to save our country, all right? We
So it
can't
sounds like
afford-
that's a yes.
No. When you say to a family that if you come, we're going to break you up, they don't come. And we can't afford.
So here's the truth. So, yes, new wall, 52 miles. And those 52 miles were some of the most egregious entry points and egress points from Mexico to the United States. So they were built up. The problem is there was another 426 additional miles that needed to be rehabbed that were ineffective, which means they didn't fucking work. They were rusted out. They were toppled over. They were only retaining walls. Some of them were concertina wire and barbed wire. Some of them were literally aqueduct pores, and they considered that to be a wall. Donald Trump replaced, rehabbed, or created 452 miles of wall for the southern border. Anyone that says anything different is just playing semantics. This is CNN fact checker territory. This is mostly true. This protest is mostly peaceful. They're full of shit as a Christmas goose. I just gave it to you. I just laid it out for you. And you want to know how I fucking know this? Because I lived in Arizona. I lived in New Mexico. I was on the border in both states. And I lived in Bakersfield, California. And I was stationed in San Diego. I promise, and El Paso, Texas, and Houston, Texas. So if you want to go ahead and have a conversation about the fucking border, bring it on. Call into the show whenever you think you're ready, and we'll have an education. By the way, I also speak at breakfast with the director of the U.S. Border Patrol every fucking Sunday. So if you want to have a conversation with that, I'll go ahead and show you my commemorative coin that only has 50 people that he's given it to. So if you want to have a conversation about the border, please dial in. I'd love to have a conversation with you.
To have any more. Look at New York City. Look what's happening. They're living in Central Park in New York City. The city is being swamped. Los Angeles is being swamped. Iowa is being swamped. Our whole country is being destroyed. Millions of people are coming into our country. And you know what the number is going to be, in my opinion, by the end of the year? Not the 4 million that you hear and the 3 million. I think it's going to be 15 million people. And in these people, they have no idea where they come from. They come from 129 different countries so far. 120, not just the four that we talked about.
Just to put a button on that, it sounds like what you're saying is that you're not ruling out re-implementing that immigration policy. I want to get to another voter. Caitlin Boissonneau is a student here at St. Anselm.
She's horrible.
Dude, like CNN is so
That is
fucking
unbelievable.
This was their chance. All they had to do was be impartial, right? Challenge him on a couple things. Say it once, but she is literally getting the last word like a petulant child. She won't let him finish. She's completely just all the damage that Donald Trump did to himself in the first 15 minutes is now gone.
Yeah, every time he says something that she disagrees with, she doesn't let him talk.
It's ridiculous.
That's it. It's like he's answering your question. Let him answer it.
But this is CNN's chance to go back to the 80s and 85 and 90 when they actually had credibility during the Gulf War. They were fantastic. CNN, we added on all the intel in the JICs and in the SCIFs. We would have CNN on. And the reason why we would is because they were credible and they got a lot of intel that we didn't. Now, all they had to do was just be amicable. They didn't have to be nice. They didn't have to be loving. Just be affable, for God's sakes. Like, let him say what he wants to say and say, all right, Mr. President, well, it's not my job to disagree with you. It's not my job to fact check you now. We'll let the American people decide. But thank you for your answer and move on.
College. She's a Republican. This will be the first election that she has voted in. What's your question for the president, Caitlin?
Hello, President Trump.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
The current administration has made it clear that we should continue to provide military equipment to Ukraine so that they can defend themselves. Do you support this decision? And how would you deal with the increasing threat posed by Vladimir Putin?
First of all, thank you very much. It's really nice. And it's an important question, so important, because we're giving away so much equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving away so much. But here's the thing.
Truth.
I have to say it to start off. No longer matters. If I were president, this would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew it would have never happened. And his pipeline would have never happened. A lot of things would have never happened. But this
Which
would never have
Democrats
happened.
say that,
And all
Mr.
those
President?
dead people,
Shut
Russian
up.
and Ukrainian, they wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities that are blown up and disintegrated right to the ground, that wouldn't have happened. Okay, now, here's the problem. We've given so far $171 billion. They've given, meaning European Union, which is approximately the same size altogether as our economy. They've given about 20. So we're at 170, let's say, and they're at 20. You don't have to know too much about history to realize, or geography, to realize that they're a little bit more affected than we are, okay? So they've got to put up a lot more money because they're taking advantage of us like every other country did. That's why I ended NAFTA and replaced it with the USMCA, Mexico,
But on
Canada.
this issue, Mr. President, I should know, I don't know any Democrats who have said they don't believe Putin would have been invaded if you were president. But her question is, would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because, as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment hoax number one when he said the president didn't do anything wrong. So
That
I
was when
happen
you
to
asked him
like.
for an
So I
investigation in
happen to
exchange
like.
for
Yeah, that's right.
weapons.
And I was totally exonerated, by the way. Just a waste of time and money.
You were impeached over that.
It doesn't matter.
But let's stay on topic here, Mr. President.
So fucking stupid. You were impeached. You know what? Just you were guilty of having to pay a civil suit. There's no criminality in civil suits, you dipshit. Okay. And there's nothing in impeachment. I can impeach a rodent that goes across the White House steps. It doesn't matter. Impeachment proceedings are nothing. Okay. Nothing. It's the most ridiculous. And you know what? Remember all this bullshit? They're going to impeach Biden. They're going to impeach Biden. The Republicans are going to come in. They're going to impeach Biden. Guess what we haven't had? Impeachment proceedings for Biden. Isn't that interesting? Trying to hold him accountable for the shit he's actually doing.
I wonder if Rachel Maddow prepped her for this.
No, she's MSNBC, and Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow wouldn't have the presence of mind. She would like perform some Wiccan chant on Trump to shut him up, and then go to her blue anon people and just spread lies and disinformation. Rachel Maddow is horrible. She's went completely left.
Would you give
Well, that's what I
Ukraine
was saying.
weapons?
I know.
I was by a crazy woman named Nancy
But
Pelosi.
the question
who
here is,
sympathized.
would you give Ukraine weapons and funding if you were
I would
elected?
sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If
That's
I'm
the call-in
president,
number
I will
right
have
there.
that war settled
Gotta
in
click the
one day,
link.
24 hours.
How would you settle that war in one day?
Because I'll meet
Let's
with
listen to
Putin,
this.
I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be
Do
absolutely
you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this.
There you go. Good answer.
What do you? Can I just follow up on that?
About
You said
trade-offs.
You don't
Things
think
you
in
have
terms
to
of
do is
winning
you
and
have to get
losing?
you have
Mr.
to get
President, can I
Europe.
just-
Uh-oh.
Raggy.
It's all right. We're okay. It's them. It's not us. Here's the cool about fast forward. I can get it back.
Say this. I wish Russians.
There we go. Look at him. He's like me. He's like, oh shit, what's going on? It's okay, John. I feel your pain, buddy. I know you can't hear me, but I completely feel your pain. You'll get to it. This happens to me every show. And I'm glad he's having to deal with the technical issues tonight. Because then people look at you and they're like, oh, come on, man. You're my cable provider. Why can't you get that to
Follow up on
work?
Because that's a really important
Excuse me.
statement
Let me
that you
just follow.
made.
Okay, what? Leroy, what?
I didn't say anything.
You didn't just
Man.
say something?
Follow up on that because that's a
No,
really important
excuse me.
statement
Let me
that you
just.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's the guy's voice that sounds like you. Here's the rest. It's
You're
back
all
right
right.
now.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want
good
them to
answer.
stop dying.
There are no winners
And I'll
in
have
war.
that
Say
done-
it.
I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win. You
You
said
know what
when
I'll
you were-
say? I'll
when you
say
were in
this.
office.
I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and
But
they
that's not
should
an
be.
answer about who
And
should
they
win
should
the war.
equalize.
That's a good answer.
They
It's a
have
great
plenty of
answer.
money. They should equalize. I got with NATO.
But I'm
When I
asking you
sat down,
about
I got
Ukraine
them
right
to
now,
put up
Mr.
hundreds
President.
of billions of dollars that they weren't paying under Obama and Bush and all of these other.
Amy, ban Nelson. Can't stand his bullshit. The guy doesn't. I already know who he is. I know exactly who he is. Ban him. He's a listener that we've previously banned. Punch him.
The presidents. That's why
Thank you.
they're able to help them fight the war because of the money I got. But I
let's
want
talk about
Europe.
what's happening in
Excuse
Ukraine,
me.
Mr.
I want
President.
Europe to put up more money because they're laughing at us. They think we're a bunch of jerks. We're spending $170 billion for faraway land, and they're right next door to that land, and they're in for 20. I don't think so.
When it comes to what's happening there, when you were in office, you said that you respected President Putin. Do
Yeah,
you
I do.
still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He's a smart guy, you know. I remember I said he was smart, she was smart. They
What
said
was his
he
mistake?
said President Xi of China, right? Is smart. Okay, 1.5 billion people. He's the ruler of 1.5 billion people. I said, yeah, he's a smart guy. How dare he say he's smart? Of course he's smart. They want you to say he's a stupid person. Okay, he's not a stupid person. He's very smart. He's very cunning. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his
It would have.
mistake?
His mistake was going in. He would have never gone in if I was president. We used to talk about it there.
Do you believe that he is a war criminal?
What?
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal?
My belief has
He's
nothing to do
responsible
with
for
it.
the death.
I'm not. See, that's just such an easy fucking question. My belief has nothing to do with this. I don't decide if someone's a war criminal. That has nothing to do with me. Now, if you're asking my personal opinion, take belief out of it. Because that's not what this is about. Belief is why we get involved. It's laced with emotion. And I'm looking this from a factual perspective. Is what Vladimir Putin did against Uniform Code of Military Justice, the Geneva Convention, and the world stage and national opinion based upon laws that we have settled since World War II? The answer to your question is, I think all wars are war crime. Every war that's ever happened, even the ones the United States involved, is a war crime because it's a crime when people's lives are lost. What do you want me to say? It's the same answer I have for abortion. It's the same answer that I have to finding some sort of peace between Russia and Ukraine, is that lives are more important than squabbles. They're more important than our ability and desire to have what's easy. And if
if you would just be able to take the emotion out of it and stay factual. And he's doing better. But the problem is it takes Trump like 20 minutes to warm up. And by that time, you've already blown all the bearings, or you've slipped a freaking rear differential, or you've just let the car drive and you just went off the cliff. He's got to learn to control these interviews quicker, more effectively. And honestly, if I was him, I would have said this. Listen, with all due respect, I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to them. So can you please move on with the next question? Because if you want to have an interview with me, we shouldn't have done a town hall. What are we going to do? Are we going to do a town hall, or are we going to have an interview? Okay, then do me a favor. Please move on to the next question. You can interview me later. I'll give you another hour off air, and you can put this on whenever you want. But right now, I want to talk to the American people, because you people will not let me talk to the American people, and you didn't fucking broadcast me for 4 years except the things that you spun. And this is my chance to talk to your viewers. So could you please stop talking? Love God.
Of thousands
Well,
of
I think
Ukrainian
this.
men and
I think
women
it's
and
something that
children.
should not be discussed now. It should be discussed later, because right now we have to get a war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's going to be a war criminal, where people are going to go and grab him and execute him, he's going to fight a lot harder than he's fighting, under the other circumstance. That's something to be discussed at a later date.
Isn't it
Right now,
important
we
to
want
call
to
it
get
what
that
it
war
is?
settled. And I'm not talking about the money either. I'm talking about all the lives that are the number of people being killed in that war is far greater than you're hearing. When they blow up a city and those buildings come pouring down, and then they say 2 people were injured. No. Hundreds and thousands of people are being killed, and we have to get that war settled.
We have more with former President Trump. Right after this, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with questions from voters. We have
Didn't her parents
really want
teach
to
her
stop-
manners and not to interrupt people and to respect her elders? Because she really
No, she's privileged. She's a freaking
That's-
reporter.
that, like,
She
are
thinks
helpful.
she thinks the fourth estate has carte blanche to treat the president of the United States any way they want. Anytime you want to know how you treat, look at Sam Donaldson. Look at Walter Cronkite. Look at Peter Jennings. Look at Tom Brokaw. Even Dan Rather. You may not, and Dan Rather has turned into a complete farkin' douchebag. But you treat the president of the United States at least with a modicum of respect for the office. They have no respect for Donald Trump. They don't consider him president. They consider him to be a fly in the ointment. What's that?
They never did. I mean, most of Hillary's speeches that she gave after she lost, it was it was her going up there saying, "Oh, he knows I really won," or "He knows who's really president." She never conceded. Never.
Yeah. Russia stole the election, according to them, in 2016. They all said it. But, once again, just because, listen, the Democrats' shade of piquant of shit is somehow rosier than everybody else's. When they wipe their ass, they've discovered freaking the Klondike. And they pretend to show it to you and say, "Hey, look at how much different this is. Look at the nutty piquant flavor. This is something that you don't see every day." And you're like, "That looks like shit to me." And they're like, "Yeah, but our brand of shit is better." And unfortunately, it's getting old and tiresome, and people are sick of it. It's just like the Biden 9. You've got the oversight committee of the Republicans going up there, and they're laying down channels of dollars. I've got these graphs for you showing you where the money is, and people are like, "So whatever, it's a big nothing burger. Who cares? Let's get back to Trump." And I'm like, you know what? I'm so sick of the double standard, because today I went after George Santos, who is a Republican, and I literally destroyed him. And I have no problems doing that with anybody. There aren't any Democrats left. There are no true liberals. They cannot be called Democrats and liberals anymore. They are leftists. Anybody who's on TV, anybody who's in Washington, they're all fucking leftists. There are no more liberals anymore. There are no more Democrats. Just like there's no more true conservative Republicans, folks. I hate to tell you, but that's the truth. Let's watch the rest. Let's wrap this up.
In the COVID world.
Okay, here we go.
Karen Love My Life Harris is back, and she says Trump has no respect for other people and calls them names. Why does he need to have respect for him? I think she's doing a good job. Well, you just said it, because it's not accurate. There are plenty of people that Donald Trump has respected who've asked him tough questions. Would you like me to go ahead and give you a few people? Do you even care? That's the question. I don't want to waste my time, but I can tell you plenty of reporters who he has treated with respect. And I can tell you there's plenty who he hasn't. But he's not being disrespectful to her. Please give me examples of how Donald Trump is being disrespectful to her. She's berating him. She's making him repeat himself over and over until he gives a different answer. She's interrupting him incessantly. And they're not moving forward with the town hall. They've had 4 questions from the audience. This is a town hall. Do you understand how that works? It's not her job to speak. That's it.
It's supposed to be a discussion. And really, if you really want to talk about, who has respect for who, it's pretty clear when your leaders, when your elected leaders lie to you. And you can say that, Trump hasn't always been, forthcoming, right? But that is certainly a label that sticks far more on the left-hand side of the aisle than it does on the right.
Correct.
So if you really want to talk about respect, let's talk about, again, we're not going to tax anybody who's making less than 400,000 or any one of a number of statements about people who claim that they're Second Amendment advocates or for lower tax rates, when clearly that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, it's Karen. I don't see just with all due respect, the emotional stuff that you're going through right now, just with all the respect I can give you, I don't care. I don't care about your emotional hurt feelings. If you're not going to give me specific examples, I can't address them. So when you say he disrespected the office, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you? You're a Democrat. You have a president who shoved a fucking cigar up a woman's pussy on the fucking Resolute desk. And you're going to sit here and talk to me about respect for the Oval Office. Kennedy fucking brought in prostitutes and sadomasochistic hookers for Martin Luther King in the Lincoln fucking bedroom and rented it out. The fucking Clintons did. What the fuck are you talking about, lady? I don't know what you're talking about. So if there is something that you want to help me understand about how he disrespected the office any more than any other president did, I'm willing to hear you. But please get specific and take the Kleenex and take Sleepless in Seattle and the bonbons and either shove them down your fucking throat and get off my channel or make a fucking point. You're irritating the shit out of me.
Welcome back to CNN's Republican.
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Please. Hopefully that's better.
Hall with former President Trump. President Trump, we have a lot more voters' questions, I should note, in here in New Hampshire to get to, but I also want to talk about some of the other
Oh, isn't that convenient? No, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Great. So you're a fucking fence sitter. You're the 7% that decides elections every single year because what? You don't understand? You don't have enough data? You don't have enough info? Go ahead, Leroy.
I was just going to say, I love the people that's there was a time where I might say, look, I'm not sure where I'm at on this or right. I'm not sure about this particular policy.
Right.
But the people that can stand up there on a stage like that and say, I'm neither here nor there. I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican.
Right.
You know what? You got to pick a lane. And only one of those lanes is for protecting the individual liberties of the people of this country, because the other side right now, they're not doing that. They want to take everything from you. They want to take your liberties from you.
And listen, when I say I don't care, someone's like, well, why should I care if you don't care? Because I don't know you. And I don't care about your emotions because your emotions are inconsequential. Okay, so you're offended. Now what? What do we need to do? Do we need to stop the show? Do I need to get you a Band-Aid for your penis? Your vagina? Who cares? Your emotions have nothing to do with this. Let's stick to the fact. And if you're going to tell me Donald Trump disrespected the office, how? Get specific. What did he do? You know how many times Donald Trump had a conference from the Resolute desk? Do you know why he doesn't? Do you know why Donald Trump in 4 years hardly ever had a conference and only did it during COVID 2 times from the Oval Office? Do you know why? Because he believes that's a place of power for business, professionalism. And he reaches the American people in a different facet, and he doesn't do it where business is held. That is not disrespecting the office. It's respecting it to a level that no other president has. So when you tell me he's disrespecting the Oval Office, how? Get specific, because to me, that's a pretty good story. That shows me that he respects the institution of the office, and business is to be held there, not emotional dribble.
And when he wants to emotionally connect and speak in a cathartic and palpable way, he does that from somewhere else.
David Bryant says, just admit you're a dumbass.
Well, who's he talking
That's
about?
a hell. I don't know who he was talking about, but that's a hell of an intellectual contribution.
I don't know if he's, well, first of all, David, here's the thing that I would say is that you might be talking about someone else. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but your is not Y-O-U-R, fuckface. And it's not my fault that you're illiterate. So before you start slinging arrows of people's level of intelligence or lack thereof, you might want to understand the fucking difference between you are and your. Just a little feedback, David, while we're slinging arrows. Hope that didn't hurt. I hope your emotions are okay. Do me a favor, grab a little Kleenex, wipe off your vagina, and get back in there. Here's the rest of the show.
You're facing. We talked about others at the top, but one of those is the special counsel's investigation into classified documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago. Why did you take those documents with you when you left the White House?
I had every right to under the Presidential Records Act. You have the Presidential Records Act. I was there and I took what I took and it gets declassified. Biden, on the other hand, he has 1,850 boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown, where they don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking about.
Can I got to stop you right there
about
because
him, they talk about us.
Did he just say they don't speak English in Chinatown? Is that what he just said? They don't speak English in China. Did he just say that?
Yeah, he did.
What? Well, thank God the Asian persuasion vote is only like 2.3%. So I guess we just lost that.
I didn't make a secret.
Oh, David, you're learning. There you go. What? Trump is your bitch. You used it properly. Y-O-U-R. Dude, if Trump was my bitch, I wouldn't be doing this show because I'd be worth a lot of money. I mean, well, I don't know. I heard in his deposition he doesn't glamour his bitches. So no, Trump's not my bitch. No, what does that mean? I would be his bitch, I would think. I mean, in the hierarchy of things, he's much more popular. He's richer. He's not better looking. He's certainly not longer than me
in terms of hierarchy. Then, if we're talking about hierarchy, then David could be our bitch.
Oh, well, David's definitely our bitch. I've already made him my bitch. I mean, that was lightweight. I mean, the guy called you dumb and he couldn't even spell your. You are.
Grab his pussy, right?
Well, I can grab him by the pussy. I think he would let me. I mean, I'm a star. David, would you let me grab him by your pussy? I think he probably would.
I bet he would. I bet he likes
it. He sounds like a beta male. It sounds like he takes it anyway. Sounds like he rolls over for a pack of cigarettes. Oh, yeah, David, I'm sure if we were in a prison, you'd be my bitch. I used to fuck guys like you in prison, David. All right, let's go.
Good of it. You know, the boxes were stationed outside of the White House. People were taking pictures of the GSA of the various people.
I got to stop you right there, though, because the Presidential Records Act, which is not well known to a lot of people, I read it. It does not say that you can take documents with you. It says actually that they are the property of the federal government.
You negotiate, you make a deal. It's not criminal, by the way. The Presidential Records Act is not criminal. And just so you know,
it does not say you can negotiate to take the documents with you.
Can I tell you? Just so you understand, the Presidential Records Act is not criminal. I took the documents. I'm allowed to. You know who else took them? Obama took them. Nixon took them. Reagan took them.
You don't know that. You don't know that. Oh my God, get off your knees and stop taking that big giant fucking cock. Come on, lady. You don't know that Obama didn't take documents. Get her, Olivia.
Oh my God, I'm looking.
Listen. I'm not doing this. I'm not rehashing this. I've already blown this apart. The whole documents thing, I have already destroyed this 100 times over. And if you're going to sit here and you're going to clutch your fucking pearls over Donald Trump, yet Biden said he gave all the boxes 5 different times and they kept finding more in 4 different states. So not only did he go ahead and cross with confidential and top secret information over state lines, it's distribution too. You want to play this game? We can play this game. Don't give me.
There's 2 very different scenarios here. One of them was that a former president who had just left had one box that was locked in a closet on a private compound. The other one,
which the FBI knew about.
Which the FBI knew about. The other one left it open in a garage that had TS material that he had brought home when he wasn't supposed to. Why? Because he was a vice president then, not a president.
And a senator in some cases, and a senator, not just VP.
Well, my point is that one of them is far more illegal than the other.
The problem with this whole thing is that this is not a town hall. This is essentially a 60 Minutes interview again. And all they're doing is just, they want to litigate
the last 4 years. And it's insanity. This isn't a town hall. Annie says, I have a feeling you have no idea. That would be, okay. The difference between lies and truth. No doubt that he does tend to exaggerate, but if you're going to say he's lying, then please tell everyone exactly. Exactly. Good job, Annie. Trump is smart going on CNN, a company realizing they need to change it up, and Fox, who think it's moving left to Trump, is saying, screw you both. This is typical. This is typical leftist propaganda. I mean, this is CNN. They are relitigating 4 years of Trump, and they're doing the greatest hits. All right, but Leroy, it's a very, very good point. That's why we have you here. You do see the forest or the trees.
I'd like to know.
Reagan
National
took them.
Archives says that President Obama
Even
did
Jimmy
not
Carter,
take
even Mike
documents.
Pence had some documents, and he's a
You
very
referenced
honorable
Pence,
guy.
you referenced
But you know who
Biden.
took him?
Hey, Karen. Karen says, listen here. Do we have a sound clip for her or something like that? Listen.
Let me look.
Karen says,
Hang on.
okay, hold on. Listen.
Psycho check, psychos.
Yeah, that's pretty good. She goes, listen, I came from a different country and overseas. They are laughing at the USA.
No, I came for a different country. You got to use proper English.
Listen, I
Quote
came.
her exactly.
You came for a whole country? Wow.
I came for
you must
a
be
different
busy.
country.
So
that
okay.
could be taken in a couple of different contexts.
So listen, I came from a different country, fine, for a different country. And I'm not going to insult somebody because they're trying to learn the English language. She's doing just fine. What I am going to insult you for is that you might have heard of something called 1776. And you might have heard something called World War I and World War II, where we saved the world's ass. We have impacted every single nation on this planet in a positive fucking fashion in one way or another. Yes, I understand what we did to Japan. I understand what happened in Iraq. I know Afghanistan. I understand what happened in Germany. I get it. I know. But overall, the United States is the most influential country on the planet, and we don't give a fuck what you think. Thank you.
Boom.
And if you're an American who moved into this country, how the fuck did you get in here if you don't like this country? And you're more than welcome to go back to yours anytime you want.
More than anybody is Joe Biden. He has 1,800 boxes,
That's
and
not
nobody
accurate,
even
Mr.
knows where
President,
they
and you
are.
know that.
1,800, and nobody talks about him.
Mr. President,
And they
that's not accurate.
put a rough guy on us, and they. In the
I think it's
meantime, they have
important, Mr.
nobody.
President, to actually set the record straight here. They took documents, including President or Vice President Pence. When they realized they had documents, they turned them back over. The difference is that you waited to turn yours over, and it was
Excuse
a year and
me.
a half effort that included a subpoena with those documents. One question about
It
what happened
included
when
a
you had
raid
those
on
documents.
my house. That's what it included.
But
They
you
didn't
had
Get
raid.
him.
you'd gotten a
They didn't
subpoena,
raid
and they had not
Biden's
been
house.
turned over yet.
They didn't raid Biden's house. You know what happened? They put him in the house. That's the one with the Corvette where the documents were laying all over the floor. That was fine.
Yeah.
And you know who happens to be at Mar-a-Lago? Secret Service, and they're phenomenal. I have Secret Service. He didn't have Secret Service. The other thing,
There
the
you go.
vice president cannot declassify. He didn't have the right to declassify. He has documents from when he was a senator. And even
him.
Democrat senators say, I can't believe it. No,
I'm going to tell you right now, they do not want Trump on stage with Biden, and they are terrified of it. This shows it. Listen, when people tell you who they are, believe them. CNN is showing you the playbook of the DNC because you know that they gave the questions to Hillary Clinton. You know they've lied about Russian collusion. You know they have perpetrated and propagated everything the DNC has told them because we knew that about the Clinton emails and the Podesta emails. Folks, CNN is state-run media for the Democrats. If they are hammering him this hard on this and drilling him on this, they want him out. They do not want to debate with Joe Biden at all. Because if he gets a hold of Biden, Trump is going to fucking destroy him. I'm telling you, I'm seeing the transformation here. And if he can just be who he is in the last 30 minutes versus who he was in the first 30 minutes, we might get somewhere. But he's got to make the switch. He's got to pivot. He has to. Today is the day to pivot. Enough. You've already got the Donald Trump supporters. You've already got the people who were libertarians who were on your side. You've got us. Now you have to go get that 7% because that 7% is going to decide the election. And unfortunately, that is women. That is African Americans. That is libertarians. If you can't go and speak to them, you're going to lose again.
I think her and Karen, this interviewer, and Karen might be besties or something.
Are they best friends?
They might be. They sure, you know.
Hey, maybe just get pictures and send video.
Went by the Presidential Records Act,
That's not
and
what
we
the
were
Presidential
negotiating
Records
with
Act
NARA.
says. That's not
Oh
what it
my
says.
And
Mr.
NARA
God,
has
President.
red
Jesus,
flagged a
annoying.
thing called the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights because they consider them
Mr.
dangerous
President, that's not what it
documents.
says,
Those are
and
the
I
people
should
we're
know.
dealing
And
with.
I should note that there is a special counsel investigating your document situation, also President Biden's document situation. When it comes to your documents, did you ever show those classified documents to anyone?
Not really. I would have the right to. By the way, they were
What do you mean, not
declassified after.
really?
Not that I can think of. Let me just tell you, I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I have the right. I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely,
But you don't
extremely
negotiate
left group
with
of
them.
people. Extremely left. And I was negotiating with
They're
them.
not
All of a
left, they're
sudden, they
bipartisan.
raided my house. They didn't
God.
raid
Just like
the
the
house
house.
of Joe Biden.
Jesus,
They didn't
lady,
raid
fucking-
Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like
Joe
you
Biden
did. And so
took
that's the question.
1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return
Are you
them.
ready? Are you ready? Can I
got
talk?
Daggers
what's the answer?
staring
Hold
at
on,
him.
hold on.
Do you
Let him
mind?
answer this.
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to
That's
answer.
why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
He's gonna get you. Good for
Can you
him.
answer why you,
Thank
why
you.
you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating, and we were talking to NARA, that's Washington, to bring whatever they want. They can have whatever they want. When we left Washington, we had the boxes lined up on the sidewalk outside for everybody. People are taking pictures of them. Everybody knew we were taking those boxes. And the GSA, government service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raid our house. When Biden had his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes. And you're going to find some real gems in there.
But it was
So you
Biden who
can't have
alerted
all
them that
these
he had
different
the
sets of-
documents.
all
The
these
National
different
Archives
sets of-
reached out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena
Because we
asking?
would
Well, I don't know. Maybe because we were in the middle of a fucking primary and midterms were going on in the vote, and you guys were fucking hanging it over his head. And if Biden realized and his people said, well, I got some documents too. Holy shit, we're going to get
I see the
crucified.
tragedy here. I
Come on,
absolutely
folks.
see this tragedy here. What she has done basically is tried to stay off of actual policy and make sure that everything that she has discussed has been linked to his character, to him personally in some way. Because if they did start talking about policy,
Like he always does. He
Biden's-
crushes it.
yeah, he would be he would eviscerate her.
So, dude, you
I
know
see
why
what
they
she's
did
doing,
it.
which-
You know why they did it? Because they raided his shit. They raided his shit. And we were talking about this.
Yeah.
And you were right up against the midterms. Of course, that's going to make an impact. So what does Joe do? Well, who did it first? Did Joe Biden out or did Mike Pence? It was Mike Pence. Mike Pence was found secondary. Joe Biden went ahead and called in, 3 days before and said, well, we have documents. And then what you see is that the get out of jail free card was Mike Pence 3 days later. And everyone was going after Biden. And then Pence comes out and goes, well, I got fucking documents too. And then everyone's like, okay, well, who doesn't have documents at this point? This whole thing was put to bed. But it doesn't matter whether they had a subpoena. He has listen, those documents that they want, they can request those through proper channels. And Donald Trump's lawyers had it. There's no doubt about it. And he ignored it. And he has no right to keep that. That is property of the United States government and the people, plain and simple. So yes, he should have surrendered those documents. But to do a fucking raid, then for Joe Biden to lie about it and say he didn't know when he actually knew and send all those agents in there for 8 hours and take his passport and his fucking ID. No, man. No, that is called overreach. And if you don't think it is, then you have no idea because the same didn't happen to Biden. And for optics, the exact same thing should have happened. And the DOJ should have treated them just like Trump, considering it just happened a couple of weeks before. Go ahead, Leroy.
It's all about it's a numbers game, all about the votes, and exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about, the optics that happen on the raid. Okay, that might be worth 1 or 2 points. When you're talking about the people who are single issue voters, okay, if we can sway a few people there, there's another 4 to 6 points. If we talk about what happened the other day with him basically losing in this sexual assault case, okay, that's the woman vote. Every little decision, every time they throw up a negative headline about him, it's 4 to 6 points against him, right? And that's what they need. They need to, they need to build that up so that they can be assured that when it comes time to run Biden, who is basically a walking puppet at this point, that he still stands a chance. So it's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
What's frustrating is that there's some people out there. That's a lie. Explain what's a lie. Please tell me, because you know what's funny is that I had the inventory checklist from the FBI just about before anybody.
We did a show on it.
And I had it before all the news stations. We released it and we walked through you know what? No other news station did. You had 2 intelligence specialists, current and former, Leroy and I, who've held clearances just as high as anyone who's on TV, just as high as anyone in the military, because you can't go higher than the clearances that we've had. You can maybe have presidential clearance is not a clearance. It's not a rating of clearance. It's God mode. It's a cheat code in a video game. So nobody has that outside the president, even the VP. But what you need to understand is that we broke it down step by step. There were 17 TS documents that were actually documents and not folders. It was grossly exaggerated. Those inventory pieces, when the FBI went in and served the first warrant, they knew they were there. They took photos of there. They documented all that inventory report because I showed you each report side by side, the one from February and the one from June. They knew about it and they held onto that warrant for 97 days until it was politically opportune to release it during the peak season right before midterms. And it became the news cycle. Then it all unraveled because Biden got caught with documents too. And somebody got a burr up their ass and said, let's leak it. A former staffer or whatever knew that he had documents, leaked it, and he fucking called because he didn't have a choice, because he knew the thunder was going to come down on him. But the problem you're saying is that all of a sudden he called up and said, hey, I've got a couple boxes in my garage. That's not what happened. They got it at the university that he worked at. They got it in Chicago.
Former home. Yeah.
Or in Boston. They got him in Delaware. They got him in Pennsylvania. And he had multiple areas. And he said he gave them all up multiple times and then came back and, oh, we found some more. Oh, they found some more. They found some more. And right there, that should have been obstruction of justice at that moment. And they should have issued a warrant and raided his fucking home. You know what they did? They gave him a knock and serve warrant with 8 hours of notice. So a warrant was served, but it was a knock and serve warrant. And he got notified beforehand. Tell me how that's different than Donald Trump. He already was obstructing justice when he did not return all the documents. He failed to do so, just like Trump. And the only thing you're saying is, oh, well, Trump took a year. You're a fucking petulant child, people. You're playing emotional semantics. It doesn't matter. You just keep moving the goalposts. They should have treated Biden exactly like they treated Trump. They didn't do it. So don't give me this shit. Just like the Trump 9 or the Biden 9 right now, which we won't have time to go into tonight, with the $3 million some odd dollars given by China and fucking the CCP filtered through multiple companies and multiple shell corporations given to the Biden family. What do? Oh, it's no big deal. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Why aren't you equally pissed off at Biden as you are Trump? Why? Because Orange Man bad. He tweets mean shit. Aren't you people fucking Americans?
Negotiating with them. We were negotiating with them as per the Presidential Records Act. We were negotiating with NARA.
That's not what
Very
the
nice
Presidential
people,
Records Act says.
but they got to love our Constitution a little bit more, and they shouldn't red flag it, by the way. Very nice people. We were negotiating with NARA. And that's what the Presidential Records Act says, because Richard Nixon...
Listen to me quickly, Benny. The vice president takes classified documents home because he gets them in briefings all the time. Do you understand the daily intelligence briefing that the president and the vice president get? They are given and extended to them even after they're out of office. Can I tell you that those actual documents are brought? I have never briefed the vice president. I have never briefed the president, but I have briefed the Secretary of Defense. I can tell you that with absolutely no equivocation or no hiding that on multiple occasions. And it was not done at the Pentagon. Private residences. Intel briefings are given by attachés and by analysts all the time. Leroy will tell you, and it does not have to be in a skiff. They are attachés and they extend that and bring that to the areas. Otherwise, the president doesn't get his intel briefing when he's over in Tokyo, or he doesn't get it when he's on a plane in Air Force One, or he doesn't get it when he's at Camp David. Of course he does. For you to sit here and say that the president of the United States or Biden may not have certain documents left over from briefings, that's completely untrue. But what we're saying is that when he was a senator and he was a vice president, why he has boxes after boxes after boxes, that is something completely different. The amount of documents that Donald Trump had, most of them were photographs and newspapers, magazines, and swag. We went through the inventory list. He only had about 150 documents that were questioned. And most of those were classified or secret, which he has the ability to declassify on a whim. He cannot do top secret and SCI, no matter what he says. The Presidential Records Act does not say that. That's a complete fucking fallacy. He should have given those records back. He didn't, and it didn't need a raid to get him back. All they had to do was go knock on the door. Leroy, what did I miss?
No, you hit it right on the head. The only thing I was going to add was that when Donald Trump was president, right, he never held another political position. So the entire time he was president, the very worst he could have done was to take home a TSSCI document and not run it through the proper channels to get it declassified. Okay, fine. Let's accept that because that's true. That's a fact. Now, Biden has been in multiple offices over the last 40 years. And over the last 40 years, he's been president for exactly 2 of those years. So for him to have something like 20 times the volume of classified material scattered over 4 different states, several different residences, and 1 Corvette tells you that the level of disregard for classified information is far more flagrant from the left. They just didn't care. He just took home a document and said, I'll just throw it next to my Corvette.
Memoirs. And here's the thing. Everyone's going, now here's the other thing. Biden can't declassify documents. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. You're not hearing me. The President of the United States can declassify confidential, classified, and secret documents on a whim. He can just do that. Hands down. And say, here you go. I'm going to read you into this. And that's it. You're done. What he cannot do is top secret and SCI. That is a 100% fallacy. For Trump to say that he can declassify all those documents is a fucking lie. I'm telling you right now, if Leroy and I did it, we'd be in jail. And any other president would do it, would be in jail. And you want to know how I know? Let me tell you why. Because Donald Trump for 4 years tried to declassify the Kennedy assassination files that were locked till 2032. He could not. He swore he was going to do it, and he got revoked multiple times by the DOJ. They have been released at this time, but he tried forever. If he was able to declassify, he simply just would have grabbed them and shared them with the public. So please stop telling me that SCI and top secret can be declassified by the president on a whim. It has to go through a redaction process. They have to protect intel collection assets, and then they can go ahead and decide whether they want it released or not. So stop saying it because it's a lie. However, Joe Biden can't declassify a fucking piece of toilet paper. As VP or as a senator, he can do it now, but he can't do it posthumously. Once he took those documents, he was in breach of the National Securities Act. Period, plain and simple, end of fucking story. Done. Now, if he received briefings that were brought to his home, that is a completely different story. And if those documents were left there and the freaking chain of custody was not enforced, that has nothing to do with Joe Biden. But for anyone to sit here and say that those things are the same, they're not. But stop saying that Donald Trump can declassify. I don't care what the fuck Patel said. He's wrong. Because you got a fucking intel guy who's current right now with a clearance, and you got an old guy who was current with a clearance. And we will tell you
that it's not true. You can say whatever you want. It's not true. End of story.
I have to.
I don't. Oh my God! Fucking ban Benny Jeff. J-Lev. Get rid of him. I can't fucking stand idiots.
Benny.
J-Lev. J-E-L. I just can't stand you people. He's the same thing. He was a VP. He can't. You're not fucking listening to me.
Surprisingly, had problems.
My level of tolerance for stupidity as the night goes on. Just
I don't have him. He might
somebody
be
ban him.
He might be on a different.
Somebody
he had
ban
a lot
him.
of problems dealing with NARA, and they ended up passing
that's why
legislation
they
called the
created the
Presidential
PRA.
Records Act just for this kind of a thing. We were
My
dealing
last
with them. We
question
were
on this
talking.
on
Excuse
this
me. Wait a
subject,
minute.
Mr.
Wait.
President.
We were talking to them.
Poor
We would
Olivia.
have
She's
done
ready to
it,
blow up.
But all of a sudden, they raided the house. Now, why hasn't the FBI raided Biden?
But I just explained to
Why?
you why.
No.
It's because they alerted the government that they
Okay.
had those documents and had them come and get the documents
Why
from
did
his
Biden-
house.
no, they
My
didn't take
question
the-
for you, though, when it comes to documents, do you still have any
Oh, my
classified
God.
documents in your possession?
Are you ready?
Do you?
No, I don't have anything. I have no classified documents. And by the way, they become automatically declassified when I took them. But
No, you
why?
have to declassify
Let me ask
them.
you a question. Why is it that Biden had 9 boxes in Chinatown? And he gets a lot of money from China. Why is that? And
There
why,
is no
why
evidence of
aren't
that, Mr.
people?
President.
Yes, there is evidence of that. Oh my God, lady. I swear to God, I'm going to blow this fucking just.
That's a fair question. Totally accurate. Totally accurate.
Dude, he's asking a question. Why is it in Chinatown? And we already know that we have millions of dollars from investigations. We have wire transfers, shell companies, LLCs, where money is being invested from the CCP and the China Communist Party. And the Bidens are getting 33% across the board, just like the big guy's supposed to. What the fuck is going on? Why can't we? I'm so sick of it, dude. I can't.
She is probably the worst moderator of a town hall I've ever seen.
Dude, Benny Jelliff is still there. Somebody fucking ban this guy before I reach through the computer.
You may have to do it. I don't think we can see him. He's not on Facebook.
I want to ban you, Benny, because you won't shut up. You keep saying the same fucking thing, and I've already told you Biden can't. Why won't you listen? My patience is at a 0, bro. Do you think this is just a little frustrating on TV? Do you think I've had just about enough with 275 some on people in here and half of them couldn't find their ass with 2 hands and a flashlight, that maybe my tolerance level is just a little bit short of I don't give a fuck anymore? I'm a human being, bro. You've already said 17 fucking times that Biden can't declassify, and we've already agreed with you. What do you want us to say? What you're not listening to is that Donald Trump cannot declassify TSI and top secret fucking coded information. Period. End of story. Enough of the fucking conversation. And you're saying, Biden can't fucking declassify. We're not talking about that. We already know Biden can't. We've already said it.
Why are people
no
bringing that
evidence
up?
of that, Mr.
And why don't they
President.
put this
What
guy
you're
Jack
referring
Smith
to
and his
is an
group of
office that he
group
had.
of thugs?
Mr.
Why don't
President,
they put him in charge of that?
I need to stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said there. What you're referring to there is an office that he had after
That's
leaving
at the University
vice
of Pennsylvania.
presidency.
Wrong.
He had a temporary office. But I want to ask you about another investigation
You're so
that you're
wrong.
facing.
You don't know the subject.
I do know the
He
subject.
had
and I
one
do
at
know the
University
facts,
of
Mr.
Pennsylvania,
President.
but he also had
I want
9
to
boxes.
get
of
him.
Oh my
China
God.
That you're facing, which is the
See, Trump,
Ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
have you guys noticed that Trump's fucking attitude is right with mine? Like, we're both like, okay, enough. I can't stand it anymore because this is so
she's
stupid.
Plainly not telling the truth. She's fabricating it. She's trying to distort the facts to fit her narrative.
Dude, I have hit him so hard tonight. Rewind. Go back to the beginning. I was crushing him.
You know,
And
I
was
can't
so
stand that lady, but I'd love to see her on Pornhub.
well, yeah, that's like she's awesome when you put her on mute. Olivia's laughing.
Jesus, Leroy.
one that's happening in Georgia, where they are investigating your efforts to overturn the election results in the state of Georgia.
did
At the
nothing wrong. It was
center
a
of that,
perfect phone call.
let me finish my question.
That's
At
an
the center of
accusation.
that
You can
is
get her
that
for
call
libel
that you
right there.
had
He needs to
with the
say,
Secretary
let me
of
finish
State,
my
Brad
answer.
Raffensperger.
Yeah, sure.
Given the fact that there are indictments expected to come in that case this summer, is that a call you would make again today?
Yeah, I called questioning the election. I thought it was a rigged election. I thought it had a lot of problems. I had I guess he's Secretary of State. I called. Listen to this. There are like 7 lawyers on the call, many of them from there. We're having a call. We're having a normal call. Nobody said, oh, gee, he shouldn't have said that. Why? If this call was bad, I question the election.
You
if
asked
this
him to
call
find
was
you
bad,
votes.
No, that's not what he did.
We've heard the audio
if
tape,
this
Mr.
call
President.
was
There's an
bad,
audio of you asking
You
him
listen
to
to what
find
you
you
wanted to hear.
owe me votes because the election was rigged. That election was rigged.
Oh, get
and
off the
if this
election
call was
again.
bad,
No,
why
let him do
didn't
it.
him and his lawyers hang up? How dare you say that? This was a perfect
Well, they were
phone
clearly
call.
concerned enough. They recorded the call, and I should note that, of
This
course,
was a call.
All
that
calls
was
are
made
recorded going
to
into a government
question
office.
the results of election, and we have. And when we can't make a call to question election results, then this country ought to just forget about it.
you weren't just questioning the election results.
I was
You were asking
questioning the
him to
election.
find you votes. And I should note that there is no evidence of fraud. There is no rigged election in the state of Georgia. I want to get back to the audience.
So let me get this straight. So 2016, 326, and I fucking played them all, said the election was stolen against Hillary Clinton. You've got Maxine Waters who've said it. The state of Georgia with Bucktooth Becky herself, and I'm not even going to say her name because I haven't heard her and I don't ever want to see her again, said that the election was stolen. Adam Schiff said it was stolen. Swalwell said it was stolen. Natter said it was stolen. Biden said it was stolen. Obama said it was stolen. Every single Democrat said the Russian collusion stole the election for Donald Trump. So when Democrats, once again, just look at the piquant color of my shit. Look what's on my toilet paper. It's not shit. It is a truffle of epic proportions created by human excrement. It is delicious. They tell us that, but we are the problem. I have destroyed Trump over the stolen election, and I think he's a complete moron for continuing to talk about it. But it's his right, and he has every right to talk about it. And he can say whatever the fuck he wants because this is a free country. And I can tell him he's full of shit. But for her to sit up there on that stage and pretend that the Democrats haven't done the exact same thing. They also did it in 2000 with George Bush and Al Gore. This isn't the first time they've said it's a stolen election.
No, it's stolen every time
they lose.
It is a favor. Yeah. Every time it does not
every
go in
time
their
they
favor.
lose.
Yeah.
This could be a fun drinking game. Every time she interrupts him, drink. We'd all be freaking drunk in like 5 minutes.
You know what? If I was Trump, I'm like, you wonder why I say some women just deserve to be grabbed by the pussy.
Oh my God. No, I don't think that would work too well.
Go get in the kitchen and get me a Popeye. Now, woman.
Still waiting on my shirt.
Because those are false claims you're making about what happened in Georgia.
How great would that
Jordan
be if you just,
Sullenberger
like,
is here. He's an
dismissively said, "Hey, honey, can you go give me a glass of water or something?" Totally like just like demean the shit out
Could
of
you
her.
go get me a cup of coffee? You know what?
Like, go
Everyone
make
keeps
yourself
telling.
useful and give her a swat on the ass on the way out.
That's right. People are telling Olivia to look up. Olivia is literally running 7 different sites right now, answering comments and keeping people engaged in the comments. So she's waving right now. So that's why she's looking down. That's the only reason. So she's not going to look up and all the time because she's constantly working on the site. So she's talking to people. So she's killing it. So plus she's looks really hot. So I get why you'd want her to look up. Hey, how you doing? Sweet.
declared voter from
She likes me because I can lick my eyebrows.
Hollis. He voted for you in
How you
2020.
doing?
Jordan, what is your question for President?
How you doing? Dude, everyone's like, how does Matt get such beautiful toys? It's kind of like the Joker. How does Matt get such beautiful women? It's because I can lick my eyebrows, folk. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Thank you very much.
I'm 26. I'm a veteran. I help manage a private aviation company.
Look at that.
What?
The Donald Trump, Caitlin Collins is a nasty woman side by Trump. The little
love that.
emoji up there. That's great. All right, here we go.
You want a job?
I'd love one. Yeah.
I'm looking for somebody very good.
I'm not for mandates or government interference in private business, but I've
Right.
seen Republicans going after us like DeSantis after Disney.
Right.
What would you do as president to protect us from government interference?
Well, I'm the one that really wants to protect you. All of these fake investigations of me are about election interference. They think because I'm leading Biden by 11 points, 7 points, 9 points, I'm leading DeSanctimonious by a lot, by 40 points or 45 points. I think he ought to just relax and take it easy and think about the future, because right now his future is not looking so good. I will tell you this. We are really putting it to Biden, but he's putting it to himself because the economy stinks, inflation is horrible, and the border is a disaster. And by the way, The way he got out of Afghanistan was the single most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Mr. President, I have one more question for you here tonight, and I think while we're in front of the voters here in New Hampshire, this is a fundamental question for you. You are running in the 2024 race. If you are the Republican nominee and you are in that 2024 race, will you commit tonight to accepting the results of the 2024 election?
Yeah, if I think it's an honest election, absolutely, I would.
Will you commit to accepting the results of the election regardless of the outcome?
You want me to answer it again? If I think it's an honest election, I would be
See,
honored
there you
to.
go.
And right now, we are so far ahead of both Democrat and Republican. And you know what? If I don't win, this country is going to be in big trouble. It's so sad to see what's happening.
But no commitment there on the accepting the results regardless.
He already answered it.
Election, correct. I will.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the
Until
2024 election
he
results.
answers what
or
she wants
acknowledge-
him to say.
Okay, so this is what it is. Are you ready? Okay, this woman is the most insecure fucking woman in my life, and trust me, I have nailed a ton of them. So I know these things, and I've slept with a woman like her before, and she's like this person. She'll come up. What? I'm just being honest. It's not bragging them. It's true. I've slept with a lot of women. What? I'm not. Okay, all right.
It's almost as bad as you saying Pornhub there, Leroy.
Yeah, my wife appreciates that I've slept with a lot of women. Thank you very much. So anyway, so let me tell you what this woman do. And I don't mean to be graphic, but I'm going to be graphic. She rolls over and she's like, "Was that good?" And you're like, "Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. Thanks so much. Here's a towel." And then 5 minutes later, "What's wrong?" You're like, "Nothing. Everything's fucking great. I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "Oh, okay. And I'm going to go pee." And you're like, "Great, go pee. Awesome." So she comes back. She gets under the cover. She's like, "Hi." And you're like, "Hi." And she's like, "Hi. Hi. What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's good. Are you okay? Did you not have a good time?" "Oh, it was great. It was the best ever. You rocked my world." "Great. Well, it was good for me too. I'm really glad you liked that." There was one point. And you're like, "There was no point. Everything's good." "Well, I know, but I don't think you liked this one part that I did." "What part is that?" "Well, I did that thing with my foot." And "No, that's great. I love the foot thing. Foot thing's good. The hand thing, not so much, but the foot thing." "What hand thing?" What did I say? No, I didn't say what. What are you talking about? "The hand thing. What did I do that was wrong with the hand?" "What did I do, Matt? Did I bother you with my hand? Was my hand not effective enough?" No, it just brushed me against my nipple and it fucking hurt. But I'm okay now. Everything's totally fine. I'm sorry. The hand's perfect. "No, you know what? Fuck you. You're just like all the rest of them. You're just like all the other men in my life who abused me, from my uncle to my fucking brother to that guy I dated when I was fucking 22. Why do you hate me?" And then you're fucking out. This bitch is crazy. This one right here on CNN, insecure, needs constant affirmation, needs to make sure that she gets the last fucking word. She collects knives. She's nuts. And I promise you, she has 3 names. I'm just telling you right now. That's the woman she is. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pretend she's not. She's fucking nuts. Olivia, am I wrong or right?
What do you mean not freaking off the wacko? And my God.
Because that person was Olivia, and I still married her. Right, huh? Oops.
Not that I can think of.
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person. I'll tell you.
Okay, I had to hear that again.
Lawyers it about.
Man, I mean,
The 2024 election results.
History of our country.
Mr. President, I have one more question for you here tonight, and I think while we're in front of the voters here in New Hampshire, this is a fundamental question for you. You are running in the 2024 race. If you are the Republican
I'm going to hear
nominee
this again because
and you
this
are
is
in that
important.
2024 race, will you commit tonight to accepting the results of the 2024 election?
Yeah, if I think it's an honest election, absolutely, I would.
Will you commit to accepting the results of the election regardless of the outcome?
What's wrong with my foot? What you don't like my hand? Mr. President, could you please answer the question again? Because I'm insecure and I need your affirmation and acceptance.
Answer it again.
Hi.
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 Hi. Do you want to gag me? Kinda now.
If anyone knows what movie that's from.
The whole scene is literally from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And he's having sex with this girl and he's on top of her and she's like, "Hi." And he's like, "Hi." She's like, "Hi."
Hi. Do you want to gag me? Because you can. He's like, kinda now.
Yeah.
If I think it's an honest election, I would be honored to. And right now, we are so far ahead of both Democrat and Republican. And you know what? If I don't win, this country is going to be in big trouble. It's so sad to see what's happening.
But no commitment there on the accepting the results regardless of the outcome.
If it's an honest election, correct, I will.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the 2024 election results or acknowledging what happened in 2020.
Go ahead.
President Trump, I want to thank you for coming here tonight. This is an important conversation with voters to hear and to have. Thank you to our audience and to our host, St. Anselm.
Did you see him give her the finger point? Like, fuck you. He's like, everyone get a load of this chick. Watch. He gives her the get a load of this chick.
Yeah.
The 2024 election results.
He waves her off.
What happened in 2020. President Trump, I want to thank you for coming here tonight. This is an important conversation with voters to hear and to have. Thank you to our audience and to our host, St. Anselm College.
Oh my God.
Coverage continues with Anderson Cooper and Jake
Even though half of them didn't get asked their questions.
The fact
It's
of the
like,
matter is,
Thank
the fact of the matter is, 5 minutes after he walks off that stage, everyone will still know who Donald Trump is, but everyone will have forgotten who that was. They'll just say the girl in white. That's all they're going to remember.
Dude.
Yeah, she would twist it and ask it again until she got the answer that he wanted. And then if he didn't say it, she would say it for him. So this is what.
Right.
Like that batshit crazy Caitlin Collins. That's the new one now.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, that is the chick I described.
Oh my
Insecure, right? I mean, who's a dynamo in the bar and has this confidence.
That's the same kind of lady that, I don't know if everyone saw it, that interviewed Jordan Peterson when he was over in Britain, and
yes,
she would constantly say, so what you're saying is, look, I just said what I'm saying, you know? And then he finally painted her in a corner. It's just the Trump.
Do you not love me? Do you not love me? Why don't you love me? Well, I've only known you for like 6 hours. Are you gonna move in with me? No. No time soon. Are you sure? You can sleep with my friend if you want and I at the same time. Well, thank you for the offer, but I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Why? Well, because you're scaring the fucking shit out of me.
Mel just said, do you want to go? Do you want to go to my dressing room after the show?
Right. There you go. That's it. Would you like to go? What do you want me to try on lingerie in a burn? Of course. Of course I'll do that for you. I love you, Donald Trump. You've only known me for about 47 minutes.
All right.
Right. Can you just get your clothes off, please, and shut the fuck up? So step 4 plan to hide China source payments, 5/11/17, the CEFC, the infrastructure from that, the Gong Wendong, I can't make a joke about this, creates the CEFC infrastructure with Hudson West versus as the sole member. Then Hudson West, Gong Wendong, removes Hudson West from the sole member and adds Huaxin Group as the sole member. Huaxin Group gets the CEFC infrastructure for $10 million. And then the infrastructure makes direct payments of $100K to a Wasco PC. So this is a connection of the money laundering that took place. You bring in the second picture and you can see the connections right here of where this money came from China to Chairman Ye, the state energy, Robinson Walker, and then it comes to Biden's, Holly Biden, James and Sarah Biden, Hunter Biden, and all of this money and diamonds also go into the Biden's pockets. What the fuck do you mean there's no money trail to the Bidens? Hold on, I got somebody calling. Donald,
it's probably Donald.
Donald, go ahead, man. What do you want to talk about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Bubba, we can hear you. Let me make sure I get this audio working. Hold on one sec, man. Oh God, talk about a frustration. I feel like I've given birth to an elephant. I mean, I'm serious, man. I just can't stand these idiots.
Kind of how it feels.
All right, can Donald? Can you hear Leroy?
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
All right, go ahead, Donald. What do you want to talk about, man? What did you think of what you just saw?
First, I'm going to say what I said, then I want to hear your thoughts. I want to say tonight that was an electric performance from Donald Trump. I thought he did great. He is at his peak when he is confronted by people that aren't on his side. When he goes on Fox and he gets interviewed by other Republicans, he's kind of low energy and boring. But when he's getting interviewed by CNN and just anybody else that's not a right-wing outlet. He's electric, and it reminded me of 2016. And I was very happy to see that because I love Trump, but I've been worried the past couple of years because he's been around yes men in every interview, and I thought this is the Donald Trump we know and we love. So I thought it was an amazing performance.
How do you feel about the beginning of it with this stolen election? I mean, does he need to move off this stolen election stuff and get off these topics so he can focus on policy and set people up like he does? Because, I mean, he crushes it when he stays on policy and stays on facts and runs on his record. I just, how do you feel about the beginning of it? Did you hear it?
I don't like when he brings it up himself that it was stolen, but if he's asked, I have no problem with him saying, yeah, it was stolen. I have no issue with that. But I do have an issue when he goes on and on when he's not asked about it. And I think he kind of made that clear tonight because he said in 2024, if he has a problem with it, he'll say it. And when the first guy asked about him bringing it up all the time, and he said he wouldn't unless necessary, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, well, he seemed, I mean, he seemed like he wanted to talk policy tonight, right? He seemed like he wanted to get into the fray, but he also wanted to address the Jean Carroll situation, which I don't have a problem with that. I think he brought a human element to that. The election shit, he's got to stop talking about it. He needs to move on. I think he hit Biden hard tonight. And I think, honestly, once again, he made a reporter meltdown and completely lose their shit on national TV. I mean, he owns these fucking people. I mean, he does. He should run a masterclass on how to destroy somebody's talking points because he just doesn't relent. He's just like a dog with a bone, and he keeps hitting them over and over the head. So, do you think he gained stock tonight? Yeah,
definitely, 100%. I thought he did great. I mean, I can't speak for like an independent, but I mean, honestly, if I was an independent, I would be impressed. Other than the stolen election stuff, I can understand why people are turned off by that. But
Olivia,
other than that,
all right. Well, dude, Donald, don't jump. Hold on. I want to get your thoughts. Olivia, what are your thoughts on tonight? Since you had a chance to do both listen and also talk to a lot of the viewers, so you can give their perspective.
To be completely honest, I was so annoyed by her that I couldn't concentrate because every time he was saying something, she would interrupt him and then twist it. And she annoyed the shit out of me tonight. And yeah.
I take it you don't like her.
No.
Okay, so a three-way is out of the question.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. Leroy, your thoughts?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, there's a little bit to unpack there, but the long and the short of it is that I don't like how he gets sucked into the trenches when someone asks him some hard-hitting questions. I think that he should have taken control of the conversation more than just gotten into the ring and started trading jabs with that lady. That being said, I thought his performance was good. I don't know if I would agree with electrifying. I thought it was a good performance, but I don't know that I could see some room for improvement. I'll say that.
All right. So my opinion is pretty simple. I think the people who are doubting Donald Trump and moving towards the DeSantis line of the ticket he's moved quite a few back to his line because we got to remember why we voted for Donald Trump in 2016. So I would expect the gap between him and DeSantis to solidify, maybe him not going up, but DeSantis going down a little bit. So that's always good considering that DeSantis should announce this week. It's a perfect time for him to announce. The news cycles have all kind of dropped. The bombs have hit, and it would be a good idea for him to get into it now or in the next, 10 days. I don't think he gains on Biden from this at all. I don't think any CNN viewers watched it. I think they turned it off. They were looking for the train wreck, and they got the train wreck in the first 10 minutes, and then they just pulled the plug like most do. Donald Trump has to learn how to come out and play his game in the first period and not get used to the home team. He's got to come out skating hard, putting the fucking puck on net, charging, hitting, checking, forechecking, doing everything he could, make sure staying on top of the blue line. I'm using hockey references because, everyone can understand what it's like to come out in a game and hit hard. He sits there and he skates around a little bit and he feels out the opposition. He's got to stop doing that because he gets crushed. I agree with Donald on this. Donald 3, not Donald 2. Since he was Donald 2 the other night, now he's Donald 3. He's like an iPhone. We're going to start calling him iDonald. But I agree with him on this.
He was electrifying in a lot of ways. I felt that the second half of his interview was quintessential Donald, and I think that the Donald who constantly talks about the election and says stupid shit and January Sixers, he should simply say from now on, I'm on record. Everyone knows my opinion. That doesn't matter. I know how to, judiciously and effectively run this country, and I've done it before. And my personal judgment matters very little when it comes to the American people, because I always will put them first. And you put these questions to bed, and you do more of the latter, not the beginning. That's my opinion. Cool.
One last thing that I'd like to add to that. About a week ago, Newsmax ran a poll. The poll said, do you think that Donald Trump and Joe Biden have the mental sharpness to do what it takes to serve, right? When the polls came back for Biden, the poll was 32% said yes, 63% said no. For Donald Trump, it was 54% said yes, and 43% said no. I would be willing to bet that if they reran that poll tomorrow based on tonight's performance, that number for Trump would have bumped up to at least 57%, if not 58%.
He showed no cognitive disconnect tonight. He seemed like he actually looks more energetic than 2016. He's fiery. He wants to say his story. He's got to stay on topic. He was prepared to have a conversation tonight. I love his answer on Ukraine, and I hope people don't make the correlation. I think where they're going to hit him is that he is making some grandiose promises. So here's his retaliation comment. They're going to say, well, Mr. Trump, you said you were going to build a wall, and now you're going to stop Ukraine in 24 days. And he's like, well, I guess I could go ahead and talk about free college, and I could talk about reparations, and I guess I could talk about healthcare and curing cancer. But unfortunately, I'm not going to go ahead and pull all those executive orders out of my pocket like Joe Biden. I'm going to promise what I can deliver on. And if I'm telling you that I can set the peace table between Ukraine and Russia in 24 hours, I'm telling you I can, because I know I can. So elect me, and let's go ahead and roll the dice, because it can't be any worse than what we have right now. If he can stick to that way of talking, and he's done it before, because he did that with the African-American vote, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? Vote for me. You've been voting for Democrats for 75 years, and look where you're at. Vote for me.
Right.
If he can continue to push that narrative, he'll have a chance. If he can't, he won't.
I think that him coming on tonight was perfect timing, especially after yesterday. And I'm wondering if the reason he didn't go to court yesterday was because he knew he was already going to be found guilty. They were already going to go vote against it because it's New York. But
it's a civil case. Of course, I mean, it's civil cases, 90% of civil cases in defamation wind up going for the plaintiff. I mean, civil cases are completely, it's money. It doesn't hold any culpability. It doesn't hold any liability from a criminal standpoint. It's a civil decision. It's a dispute. It's something you would take to fucking the people's court.
And
that's literally what it is.
He got to defend himself in front of the American people tonight. And I think that was more productive than going to court.
Donald, what do you think? Do you think why do you think Donald Trump didn't take part in the New York trial?
I think, like you said, I think it would have legitimized the situation when it's not. And I mean, I can understand. I bet he's done stuff to women that are, because I have sisters. I have a ton of sisters, so I'm kind of iffy on the issue. I believe he's done stuff, but not horrible rape. I don't believe it. And I don't believe he had anything to do with this woman. I believe him when he says a woman's not his type. He's into supermodels.
Yeah.
So not women like that.
You know what moved me tonight is when he put his children's name on his on his comment. I think that was very powerful. I think Trump never does that. He never invokes his kids' names ever. He keeps them. He uses them obviously in a nepotism type fashion, and who doesn't? But they're a part of his cabinet. They're a part of his administration. But for him to sit here and say on my children's lives, that is a very human moment that we don't get from Trump very often. That is very unselfish and not focused and self-centered on himself. And he would never give up power, but for him to project that and say on my children, that's a very powerful statement for him to say that. And it carried some water with me, and it made me reaffirm my resolve that E. Jean Carroll was very much a Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels, fucking P-tapes and dirty dossiers bullshit from the left more than anything. Anyway, that was it.
Yeah,
Donald,
I
you got
agree.
last
I
word.
love that.
You got 1 minute, buddy. It's all yours. Take it, and then I'm going to give it to Leroy and then Olivia, and then we're going to pop smoke.
That's all right. I won't even take up the whole minute. All I can say is vote Trump. He's our guy.
Do you have any possible reason to think that DeSantis has any chance? Did you listen to what I said the other night, that if Trump doesn't get the nomination, that they would use him as a backup and a reserve?
Yeah, I will never vote for DeSantis no matter what. My stock is in Trump.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. I'm not going to do hypotheticals because it's waste of time. Let's you and I get closer to this, and then we can talk about it in a month or two. Cool.
Yeah. Fine with
All right,
me.
Bubba. Good call. Thanks for calling in, Donald. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. Bye. All right, Leroy.
Fair
go ahead.
enough.
No, he's a good kid.
that was-
I told you he's not. He when you first met him, he was just trolling and just doing that shit. And he's not. He's a smart kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
That was a fair comment. I mean, that was a fair exchange. When he said it's Trump all the way, basically it almost implying it's Trump all the way or nothing. I get it. You kind of have to have a commitment to that sounds so much more like a commitment to the party rather than, or to the person above the party rather. And I'm not like that. I mean, I think everyone knows that. But I will say this. I would literally take any Republican over what we currently have. And so at this point, at this point, I would love to see the Republicans float somebody who would probably beat with reasonable certainty, would probably beat Biden, but it's so damn difficult to find any of them that are likable. And don't get me wrong, because I do like DeSantis. But what I mean by that is when you compare them, let's say they throw everyone up in a primary. By the time they roll Trump out onto the stage, he will have sucked all of the oxygen out of the room, leaving all of those other very, very qualified people, to the wayside. And that's just not how I vote. But
so I'm going to try to make a point here in my final minute. That's going to be longer than a minute. I know I was going to go with you, but I got to go with the comment that we just got. Karen says that's a cult, Leroy.
Who's a cult?
That voting for Donald Trump, it's just the cult way, is basically what she's saying. That's what cults do. They vote for the person.
Didn't I just disprove that?
No. She's not calling you. Okay, you're not listening. You were critiquing Dawn and saying that it sounds like he's voting for the person over party. And what she's saying is, well, that's a cult.
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
So, Karen, here's the problem. And I'm going to try to explain this to you in a way where I don't browbeat you. When you say things like that, I don't think you understand what you're saying. You're not attacking Dawn. You're not objectifying Donald Trump to some sort of moniker that ultimately impacts him. You're talking about American citizens, and over 72 million of them, and probably more now, because this will be the most hyper-partisan election in U.S. history if Donald Trump is on the ticket. And we will see record numbers of voters that are not because of COVID. You'll probably see 140 to 150 million people without emergency powers manipulating the election by sending out mail-in ballots that aren't solicited, which will be the biggest election we've ever had in U.S. history by far, except for 2020. But when you say the words, and I don't know who you're trying to harm, but when you say that's a cult for you, you're lumping in 72 million Americans, and you are dehumanizing and trivializing an entire group of people by associating them with things like David Koresh and the Haley-Bopp Comet and Charles Manson and people who work at Apple. So when you go ahead and you call people a cult, there are demonic and Wicca undertones when it comes to cult.
And there are different types of cults, whether it's a cult of personality. The Daughters of the Confederacy were a cult. Masons have been claimed as a cult. But you don't hear cult used in positive monikers ever. It's never, ever a compliment. So I would ask you, who do you think you are? Because it's just as bad as when people I care about call others libtards. And I've pretty much got my viewers not to do that anymore. And I may not be able to impact 72 million people, even though we're at 3.5 million people impacted this month. But I can be responsible for my 6 feet, the shadow that I cast. And I would ask that my people don't lump all people together in one tight little package, because unfortunately, whether you understand world history or not, and even though you lived in, sounds like overseas, is that's what the Nazis did. And they called people maggots. They called them vermin. And they started with name calling, and they started grouping them together, calling them deplorables or homophobes or xenophobics or transphobes or knuckle draggers or Bible thumpers or gun toting like they're doing now. You're essentially applying negative connotation to everybody simply by association. I think it's extremely dangerous. I think it's negligent. And I think it's fucking petulant. So would you do me a favor and take shit like that out of your vocabulary and focus on the singularity versus collectivism? Because that's the one thing Democrats fucking do, is they turn everything into a collective whole and apply a single solution to a multifaceted problem. It's myopic thinking. It's lowbrow. And for the party that's supposed to be the educated party and the college graduates, you all are pretty fucking stupid with how you communicate. So hopefully that didn't beat you too hard. I tried to reach your common sense and your logic. I don't know if you have any, but you can do better as a human being, and you should try really hard.
Olivia, go.
It's 3 names within 3 names.
Oh, she has 3 names, doesn't she?
Within 3 names.
Oh my God, it's even worse. That's like fucking. That's like the 7th seal. That's like
It
fucking
is.
crickets and locusts and freaking blood moons are coming.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I mean, shout out to all the Rumble people. We had 122 on at one point. And we got
No,
up
we
to
had 256 on.
Rumble.
Oh, wait, how many do we have on Rumble?
It was like 122 was the highest I saw it on Rumble.
Oh, well, we had
And then-
256 all in.
Yeah, and then on YouTube it was like 28 was the highest, which is huge. So
3 names inside. You stole Amy's comment.
I know I read Amy's comment.
Did you give Amy credit?
I honestly,
You have to stop doing this, Olivia Spear.
I saw it several times throughout.
Amy,
the pod,
dude, you do this all the time. You read people's comments, you take them as your own. You've got to give credit. Amy, you don't tolerate that shit. You can ban Olivia anytime you want.
There was other people who said it too. It was throughout the entire thing.
All right, so I want to let you know.
Donald just had a comment for. Can you read it?
You can read it after I read Wes Earhart, poor victim.
And Drama Boy, really? Okay.
Is that Drama Boy?
No, he said Drama Boy and then poor victim. I don't know who he's talking about.
Oh, that's because he can't make an intellectual argument. The guy, he fucking probably rubs it out to the JCPenney catalog in turtle wax because baby oil beads up in the shower. It's okay, buddy. I get it. Project your shit onto me. It's fine. I'll just ban you if you say anything else. That's what's cool, is that I don't give a shit. Because
you're not
freedom
mad
of speech.
at me. You're mad at your father. I forgive
You're not mad at
you.
me. You're mad at your dad. Lay this back. Your daddy not giving enough attention. I just people need to stop calling. It's just, you're fucking an idiot. You would never say that to somebody's face. You don't have the balls. You don't have the guts. I don't know, man. I would never go to somebody and go, you're in a fucking cult. I mean, it's just like, what is that? What does it even mean?
Like, what do you think that you? What do you think you mean by that?
What are you achieving? I mean, all you're doing is shutting down conversation.
Oh, you're a tough boy now.
What did he say?
He said, "Wow, tough boy."
Oh, please, just ban this fucking cuck.
Oh,
see ya,
boy.
cunt. He's out of here. He's gone. I just banned him. So, a tough boy. What are you, fucking soy boy? You're a tough boy. Yeah, I am, dude. Why don't you put it in your mouth and find out how tough it is?
Savage.
Stop, you tough boy.
See, here's the thing is
Oh,
see,
Kristen's back.
there's another perfect example too. Is you're not going to be able to, how do you establish somebody's toughness over the internet?
You don't.
It's just so stupid. I mean, it's just like,
People don't.
fuck, are these people adults? Did you perpetually just stay and 8 years old and that's all you've got? I mean, that's the best you can do is call me tough boy. I mean, come on.
It's the generation. It's the
But what would they
Yeah.
do? You know what they would do? They wouldn't even fucking communicate. We wouldn't even talk to you. They wouldn't even
It's
take
totally
the
a
risk.
generational thing.
What's that?
I said I agree with Olivia. It's totally a generational thing because most people, when they think of toughness, you know, they get some random image of their mind of an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie or something like that. But the fact of the matter is, toughness is it's something up here. It's an idea that basically says, look, I will fight for everyone's liberty. I will fight so that you can develop yourself as an individual rather than somebody filling that hole that you have in your heart for you. It's up to you to find it. And if I fight for your right to do that, to me, that's tough.
I'm just like, dude, just
Somebody said he was talking to Donald.
what does that matter? What did Donald do?
Exactly.
What did Donald do that was wrong? All right, I'm going to unban him.
I don't know.
I'm going to unban him.
Okay, so Donald said, my point is I choose Trump over the party because the party needs to be sent a message. They deserve to lose if they abandon Trump. That's what he said.
Somebody said, set up a boxing event with me and Wes. Catch weight. Here's okay. Little word to the wise, and then I'm giving it to Olivia. There's always somebody tougher. There's always someone smarter. There's always someone better looking. So you can sit here and measure dicks with me all you want. I don't think about you ever.
Yeah.
I don't. You're the only thing I think about you is, can I convert you into a customer that purchases either negative or positive influence from me? And I love the people who are trolls. I covet my trolls. That's why I don't ban very many of them unless they're just completely fucking idiots. I want you engaging. I want you talking shit because only thing it does is make me money. Because that's all you are to me, is a money-making opportunity. And the people who engage and want to have really good conversation, I don't care if I ever make a dime off them, ever. They never have to buy my shirts. They never have to fucking contribute because I get something much more valuable from them other than cash. I get enrichment. But the trolls, I simply use you for clicks. That's all you are to me. And I keep you hanging on and I antagonize you. I had a lady post 126 fucking times last night. And I was just kept feeding her. Boom, 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 copy and paste it. And what I did is I just started counting her posts. And I'm like, 49, 50, 51. And she kept responding, fuck you. What? Fucking stop putting numbers down. 53, 54. You better stop. I'm going to report you. Ask Amy. And I just kept fucking stringing this lady along. And I got her entire friends list. I got all of her contacts. And once I got that from her, I knew I could market all of her friends. And that's what I did. So if you want to play grab ass with me, understand that I do everything with a lot of intent and a lot of purpose. And if you're a troll, I'm going to get your friends list because there's a certain threshold that you cross that you interact with me and you become a fan. And when you become a fan, I can advertise to all your friends and I get them. So please continue to troll my shit. I love it. It's free advertising. Olivia, your final minute and then we'll pop smoke.
Hang on one second. All right. Kristen got Facebook jailed for an hour during the show. So
why? What did she say?
I don't know. I don't know.
What'd you do?
But
Kristen, what did you do?
She must have said something, and then she just said, "There's one troll that we have to discuss later." So I'm like, "Okay, Pima,
let's do it."
I
No, Kristen, let's do it now. Kristen, call on the show. Fuck that. I want to hear it live. Let's go. Call on the show. I'm ready to hear this. We're gonna stay on for this. Leroy, if you got a pop, smoke. Charlie, Mike, go. You gotta go. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Night, Leroy.
See you, buddy. Love you.
Love you guys.
Enjoy your
Love
Pornhub
it, dummies.
tonight.
You guys take care.
Dude, you're the man.
We'll be doing that.
It was fun tonight.
Yeah, I think you heard me.
What did he say?
I said, "Enjoy your Pornhub tonight, Leroy."
Well, all right, Bubba. We'll see you later.
Night,
I'm gonna
guys.
try to get Kristen on.
Love y'all.
All right,
Night.
bye. So
Kids in the bash should give her a few.
Yeah. Well, so what troll are we talking
I
about?
don't know, but I'm going to assume she's not going to say anything since she did get jailed on this, and if she gets again, it's going to be more than just an hour.
Yeah, but she can come on live and she can say
Yeah.
anything. You can say anything we want on
She
live.
just said, "Hang on, our kids in the bath."
Can I tell you how good your camera looks with that new light? That light crushes. So everything looks really.
It's not the camera, it's me.
Oh, Jesus. Jeez. Sorry for blasphemy. All right. Well, we're trying to get Kristen in here because I want to hear what the troll did.
Yes.
And I'm going to put it in here. Here's the link. Was it Karen? All right.
Karen, I love my life, Harris.
Oh, well, what did she do?
Same initials as another crazy lady. It's got the KH in there.
Congo Harem? No.
It couldn't be that.
Kilo Hotel? No. Oh, Koala Humper.
Probably in her spare time, yes.
So it was Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Freaking three names and the same initials.
So Kristen says, I'm sitting in the bathroom with my kid in the bath. I plead the fifth. Are you going to call in, Kristen? If you're not, I'm going to pop smoke. We're going to go try to catch the rest of the hockey games.
And Toronto won tonight.
Oh, so what? Broken clock. They're not going to come back in this series.
The Oilers are up 3-0 in the second.
Oh, against Vegas? So that's going to go 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
That series is going to go 7. I said it all along. It's going to go 7. Binky Brandt says, "Oh, Lord, Tina, when God gave out brains and you thought he said trains and didn't want one." What? First of all, I know Tina. She's a police officer, and police officers have handcuffs and nightsticks, so they're freaky. So I think Tina would totally have been down for a train. That's just my gut. So you can project all you want, but that's what I'm thinking.
Kristen, call the link and we won't put you up.
Yeah, I won't put you on camera.
The phone line's not working.
Yeah, we're done with the phone line. This is so much easier. It's just everyone can click a link. Just click the link, open up your URL. Come on, I will not put you in window. I swear to God.
Yeah, you can cross off your camera.
Yep.
Click so you're not on camera.
Nancy says, Matt, help me understand why Biden during his upcoming election is free from debating opponents. Well, he's not free from debating in the primary or in the general election. And that would be against the Republican candidate. That would have to be discussed between the RNC and the DNC. And that's usually trading ponies between the network stations, how many gets a Republican station, how many gets a Democrat station. And they work that out between each other. And sometimes they do one debate. And like with Joe Biden, he only did one debate and 2 VP debates. But with Hillary Clinton, she had 3 debates and 2 VP debates. It just depends for a total of 5. But Joe Biden's the incumbent. And the incumbent usually has no opposition, and they are not required to have a debate. And in fact, that's completely faux pas and usually against protocol for the incumbent to even have anyone run against them, which is very rare. It doesn't happen very often. And usually it's a no-name person. So he's not obligated to do debates as the president of the United States. He's already got the job. He's not running for president. He's running for re-election. Okay, Kristen, I took off your camera. What's up, sister? Okay, walk through us. What happened? First of all, Kristen is a moderator here, along with Amy and Cheryl and Glenn and Lee and everybody else who comes in, and it's just fucking awesome for us. And Vicky, Kristen was working with a mod. What happened, Kristen?
So I don't even know what happened, but I'm pretty sure I know. So I said a comment to somebody. I asked them a question, and maybe they took it personally, but after that question was put up, I got a notification that I was violating community standards. So I don't really know. I asked somebody if they really liked their life.
Well, say it exactly like you said it. You can't get banned for saying anything on this show. I mean, they don't see, videos are voluntary and you have to continue to watch. But written text is something that you can just happen upon and see it, and then it can be offensive. So they don't care about video. So tell me, what did you say exactly?
I just said, Karen, do you really love your life? That's all I said.
Because it's in her name, and she reported her. Oh my God, Karen, seriously?
Oh my God, really?
I got a box of Kleenex for you. Would you like me to mail it to you?
Wow.
Jeez.
So,
Talk about-
do you think they
wow.
tried to make it suicide? Did they get you for threaten and for violence and harassment? What did they get you for?
I violated community standards and I couldn't even fight it. Like there's no explanation. They don't allow you to fight it. They just basically said, I can't do 2 of the things I normally do for an hour, which felt like a long time.
Well, yeah, especially when you're a moderator and you're like in the thick of it and you're hyped up and I'm hyped up and you're.
I had so many awesome comments, as I always do. I like my humor, but I mean, I was just like, really?
So she puts it in. That's why she named herself that, so they can get you to say it or write it. And then therefore it gets flagged by the algorithm. It's actually quite smart. It's quite smart.
Yeah.
See here, folks, you don't understand. Let me explain something. People are like, well, Matt said it. Why didn't he get banned? Well, folks, you don't understand. On video, on video, I can say pretty much anything I want except racial slurs or threaten anybody. I do those 2 things, I'll get in trouble. But I've said some crazy shit. Facebook doesn't monitor me because I don't threaten anybody. But I've called people every name in the book on this show, and I don't get in trouble because they can't, because they're volunteering their time to watch. They're coming in and engaging with this video, and therefore if they go, well, I'm offended, it's like, well, why didn't you leave? But with a text comment, they can see it and it enters their thread and it's directed at them. That's different. So Facebook doesn't fuck with me ever. I've got green across the board.
It was a serious question because she has to wake up to herself every day. I mean,
Kristen,
I don't have the luxury of waking up to her every day.
Kristen, I love you.
My feelings are hurt. My feelings are very hurt.
I swear
could
to God,
not do my job tonight. I was very offended by that.
Do you know how bad I want this to blow up so I can just like start raking in 25, 30K a month and start putting people on payroll? Do you know how bad I want that? So we can all like get on a flight and
enjoy the show. I'm on like every night, as you all know.
I know.
I love to put funny jokes in there. Some of them, yes, maybe could be reported, but this one was not. Should not have been reported. It was a question. She has it in her name.
Well, but that's why she's getting you to make a statement. So,
I know.
Like I had a guy that came in and his name was KNEE and then GHAR, I believe. And if you break that down, it's knee and 1, 2, 3, gar. And you say it.
Oh, nice.
Right. And he's trying to get you to say it. So when you say it, you get crushed. And the algorithm picks you up. So he's trying to get you to say it. So that's the thing you got to be careful of is when someone verbally, and because you wrote her name in a way of talking about, they probably thought you were threatening suicide against her. So that's why they put you in timeout. So you say her name and it's not a violation for her to use that name, but you type it out and it is. It's just somebody who understands the algorithm and good for her. Yeah.
That's what we get for having Zucky on here.
Well,
as our
all hail Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. So
But I
where's my photo of your hoodie at the wedding? No, that was Ashley. That was Ashley. Forget it. No, Kristen, you sent your picture.
He's the only one allowed to have 3 names.
Who's that?
Ashley. But she doesn't have 3 names now.
She had it until she got
I don't
married.
mind 3 name people. It's just that's like my first. It's kind of like it's like when you see a guy who's wearing a hoodie and he's got a bulge under his jacket and it looks like he's carrying a shotgun. So you cross the other street. When I see 3 names, that's my warning to tread carefully. It's usually a crazy woman. I'm just letting you know.
But Ashley has pregnancy brains. So you have to keep reminding her to take her picture.
I know I asked for wedding pictures. I haven't seen any yet.
Well,
I don't think she was on tonight though.
No, I didn't see her. I didn't see her there. Good show tonight. I think we got some good stuff. I got a little hot, but I was playing most of the time. I wasn't even really that upset. I just come to expect that from CNN reporters, and it's insane.
She's awful.
I mean,
she is awful.
Oh, she's horrible.
Oh my god.
She's horrible.
Thank goodness I wasn't on tonight.
Well, it's just a matter of who's the guest. Who's the guest? Is it her or Donald Trump?
No. Yeah, she wouldn't let him finish anything. He actually did a really good job of holding himself, like fairly monotone until the end. But
Oh
you know,
yeah,
you can only
he was
handle so
pointing
much.
at her, and
And it's also supposed to be a town hall, not an interview.
yeah.
I mean, they had what, 5 questions in an hour and a
Or
half?
an
I mean,
investigation for that matter.
Well, that's the whole point. It was like Spanish Inquisition. Folks, if you have not been to Twitter, go to @thedumb_show. We are going to be creating some private groups on Twitter. We're also going to be doing community calls, and it's really great. It's just like this, except it's a podcast. You pick up your phone, you dial in, and you can contribute and talk, and everybody gets a chance to listen, and they can text and type. It's a community space on Twitter, and it's growing. I've heard Rumble now is actually adding chat. That's going to expand, and they're creating a new API so it can be interactive. So we'll see our Rumble users. Rumbles is our second biggest channel. I've only got 859 followers over there, and we had 150 of them on the night.
50 are still watching right now.
I mean, I'm loving my Rumble people. Keep it up. I mean, I'm so small on Rumble, but it's a huge channel for us. So I love you for it. Thank you. Keep watching. We appreciate it. It's taken so long to grow on Rumble. And even though it's nothing over there, a lot of people are showing up. I mean, to have, 15, 20% of my entire viewer base on is incredible from Rumble. So anyway, stop by the Dumb Show. Oh, go ahead, Kristen.
I said, we all like what you're doing. Don't ever change.
I appreciate you.
Even
Well,
say 4-letter. Okay. Your wife loves you. That matters.
It depends
And
on the
she
day.
can handle you. But
joking.
Dude.
You said your
What'd
wife
you
loves
say?
you. I said, it depends on the day.
dude, a stiff wind and she's ready to go. What?
you can love
It's not
him.
like she's.
Don't like him.
It's not like she's challenging Kristen. Basically, I look at her. I'm like, sex, bedroom now. She's like, okay.
Oh,
Time to
got
go.
You too. You guys got your fun times after the show.
We've
stuff.
always
You
been that way. I mean, that's the fun thing we've never had a problem with. Getting her to shut the fuck up. That's completely a different story.
Well, that's behind closed doors. That's what you guys decide to do between you two. If she likes it, then she likes it. Hey, more power to y'all. That's right.
I'm going to bring a pot pie up tonight.
Yeah, bring a pot pie to the bedroom. That's
No,
absolutely
I
right.
did get recipes. I'm going to make one tonight.
I think you should. Kristen, I
Well,
love
like
you. You're the
pictures.
best. Thanks
Sure.
thanks for being here with us. I'm gonna go get my frozen yogurt.
I
Thanks,
appreciate you.
Kristen.
All right, buddy.
Yes,
Bye-bye. Love you. She's amazing, man. She is so fun.
Somebody wants to know if we prefer to watch, if people to watch here or on Rumble.
I don't care. I mean, I make decent money with the live shows, but it's not about money for me. Like, if you're a viewer, I want you to do whatever you're comfortable with. But I'll tell you, Rumble is really exciting me. The fact that we had 150 on, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to watch on Rumble. Rumble's going to get better. They're releasing a bunch of new stuff. They're upgrading their entire system. I've been selected to demo test some of it, so that's going to be good. So you watch where you're comfortable. However you can interact the most effectively. That's all. Yeah, Rumble. I need all the love I can get on Rumble. I want people to go over on Rumble, follow us over there. It's an upgrading platform. It's doing well, and we're just going to keep bringing you the show. I mean, I love having Olivia on. I think she adds a ton to the show. It's great having that resource person. She's easy on the eyes, except when she gets feisty in the beginning of the show, and I have to mute everything and say, "Don't fucking treat me that way, Olivia. You did that on the Nerd Fat podcast. You don't get to do that on this podcast." And then she's like, Listen, I get to be a dick once in a while, right? I mean, I have to put up with your shit once a month. You get to put up with mine a little bit. Bam. Folks, this is the Don't Unfriend Me show. It's Olivia Spear. She's awesome. She's my wife. My name's Matthew Spear. I'm the host of Don't Unfriend Me. Good to have Leroy on. Amy will be on Friday. She couldn't. She was busy tonight, so she'll be back.
It might be a tad late because it's a game night.
Yeah, for the next 2 nights, we have baseball games. So Thursday night, I wouldn't expect a show tomorrow. I'll have a recorded show. And then Friday, we're probably going to come on like at 9 o'clock. So...
yeah, it's at a different field.
Oh, is that the one that's far away?
No, it's not. Actually, this one's next to the fireman's field, so it's right in downtown.
So we should be early.
Yeah.
We'll be home at 8:30. We'll be on 8:30.
But
what?
It doesn't start until, hang on. What day are we on? Oh,
Folks,
wait, no, I was looking at the wrong date.
What?
How
dare you.
Wrong date.
What?
Sorry.
Come on,
It's-
man.
It's at the park we were just at.
What's the point? What time are we going to be on? That's all they care about. They don't give a shit about where it's at. What time are we coming on?
It might be 8:30-ish, maybe 8:45, just depending. but we should be, because it's also Friday.
Folks, we'll be on at 9 o'clock, okay? Son of a bitch. 9 o'clock, we'll be on. That's Olivia. I'm Matthew. It's wonderful to have you here. Guys, thanks for tonight. It was a fun night. I had a good time. Even all the trolls. We're out of here. Olivia, say goodnight.
Good night, y'all.
Hey, go watch the George Santos video. Oh, that was so fun. Can you guys?
It was great. It was a fantastic video. I was laughing the whole time.
You guys got to go watch the George Santos video. If you haven't seen it, it's going to be in the hierarchy. It's going to be 3 down from the top. This will be number 1, then the announcement, then the George Santos video. If you have not seen it, please go watch it. You're going to like it. Thanks for following us on Rumble. Good night, everybody. God bless. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on the recorded show. Friday night, we will be live. Go buy something over at the Dumb Show, dumbshow.com.
We're red.
Wear red on Friday. Go buy something over at the Dumb Show. Bye.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call